Welcome into the high noon edition of Pugs and Company. Heard each and every Monday through Friday, noon till about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We do all the things that are trending, all the things people are talking about, hot topics, current events, however you want to frame it. That's what we do here. Consider it a cheat sheet for your day so you don't have to walk around looking like an idiot. Somebody comes up to you, says, "Hey, have you heard about..." Here, let me fix the camera just a little bit. That's okay. Let's hope that works. Somebody comes up to you, "Hey, did you hear about blah blah blah?" And you can say, "Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's I heard Pugs talking about it today on the High Noon Show." It's the first of two shows that we offer for you each and every day. We do this one here at noon, high noon. We do another one at night called Pillow Talk. That comes on at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, all times CST. Because that's where we are. We're in the Central Time Zone here. By the way, miss a show, miss a lot. If you folks were listening to this afternoon show yesterday, I'm coming in a little hot. I don't know why that is. See if I can fix that a little. All right, 1, 2, there we go. If you were listening to this show yesterday, the noon show, you may have sensed a bit of a knockdown, drag out kind of. That wasn't really. Let's just say a passionate give and take between me and my friend E towards the end of the show. But if you missed Pillow Talk, you missed. Let me just say, I wasn't involved in that one. I was a happy spectator, but oh my God, last night's Pillow Talk. Look, James Parker in New Orleans had a hot take. I think it was a joke. I think he was just making a joke or something. But oh man, was it? That's all I'll say. I'll just say it was it. It was a thing. And old Sunglasses, the nighttime incarnation of E the Artist. By the way, he's going to join us at 1 o'clock. We start doing that now. I do the first hour by myself, and then the second half, he's going to join us. Jeff in the chat room. By the way, join us in the chat room. Join in, have fun, play with us. We talk. Come on, it'll be good. Jeff says, "I slept through it, man. I'll listen today." Yeah, there was. First of all, it was a great show. It was the first Pillow Talk show in quite some time where it was, the whole gang's here. And people were frosty. It was good. I thought it was good. I hate listening to myself, or I hate watch myself after the show. I go back and I just see like what worked and what didn't work. I make little stupid notes and all that kind of stuff. And I was laying in my bed last night at like midnight, just watching that give and take between Sunglasses and Parker, and I enjoyed it. So if you missed it, go check it out. You can find it there on YouTube, Pugs and Company, or you can just go to the pugscast.com link. It'll take you directly there. All right, it is December the 8th, and what we do here is talk about the day that is. As I say, it's a cheat sheet, Cliff Notes, get y'all prepped up. Make sure you know what's happening in the world today. It is the 342nd day of the year. It's 23 days until the end of the year and 17 until Christmas. 17. And you know what? I usually say, I'm not sure if that's right. How many days? I'm going to go with there are 17 days left until Christmas today. You know why? Because for the first time, I just started asking Google before I sign on. Hey, Google, how many days until Christmas? And Google says 17. So, Google, our entire life, 50 years from now, our whole world is going to be run by Google. Just whatever that thing is that has all the answers to everything. We're going to elect a Google president, or maybe Alexa, or some version. I don't know. Maybe Google will run against Alexa, and it'll be a very hotly contested race. I don't know. I'm not sure. Trying to see if there's anything new that's happening here in the news before we delve into what makes today so kick-ass. That's right. I got another new name for it. Yesterday it was what makes today the rootinest, tootinest day of all time. Today it's what makes today so kick-ass, because I'm feeling a little bit. I'm feeling it today. Feeling good. I'm feeling loose. Feeling like there's content today. There's it's cold. Boy, is it cold here in North Texas. I mean, cold for North Texas. I think it's 52 degrees at the moment. I mean, that's not Chicago. How you doing? How you doing, my friends back in Chicago? Is it still like 18 degrees? What's going on there? A little bit of an early chill for those folks. Just before I signed on, I had one of those situations that could have delayed the show about 10, 15 minutes. I was going to the bathroom, I had my morning coffee. And if you're anything like me, something occurs within about an hour after your morning coffee. And I was using the bathroom and I flushed the toilet. And the toilet wasn't working the way it's supposed to. The water's supposed to go down. The water in this case was going up, and it was going up. And I ain't got a plunger. The plunger is all the way across the sprawling 1%er compound in the big house, the main house, the master's quarters. And so there was like about a 5-second period there where I'm like, okay, do I need to run for the plunger? If I do, the show's going to be late. And then like a miracle, like a Christmas miracle, it started to go down. So tragedy averted. The show started on time, which I'm very happy about. All right, so what does make today kick ass? Well, I'll tell you. Pugs, you're such a moron. Why did you do that? Why were you so glib about it? And then, something bad happens. Ugh. All right, here, let me gotta refresh this. For some reason, my page didn't refresh. All right. On this day, this is not a good thing. On this day in 1972, I can tell you this much. Anybody who knows me knows that one of my great fears are airplanes. I don't think that they should. They don't seem. I'll put it to you this way. Seems like we're too early in the airplane process to be completely 100% comfortable with it. I mean, we're still flying at 30,000 feet in an aluminum tube while burning gasoline, right? It just seems like we're in a flying bomb. It doesn't seem, and then years ago, people used to be allowed to smoke inside that flying bomb, that aluminum tube filled with jet fuel. People used to be able, and they said, yeah, maybe that's not a good idea. I'm thinking maybe another 100 years of air flight. Maybe if I was born like, in 2069 instead of 1969, I might have a little bit better. I still don't feel comfortable about it. And one of the reasons in 1972 on this day, the first plane crash that I was aware of happened. And now I was very little, like 2 years old when this happened. I didn't even turn 3 yet. Or maybe I had. I don't know. It doesn't matter. On this day in 1972, United Airlines Flight 553, a Boeing 737, crashes after aborting its landing attempt at Chicago Midway Airport, killing 45 people. This is the first ever loss of a Boeing 737 jet plane. Now, Pugs, why at such a young age would you remember this? Because it happened in my neighborhood? Because it happened right where I lived? This plane crashed. Imagine being a little kid and then realizing that these things can just drop out of the sky and kill your neighbors. Now, I don't mean to. I lived at the time, I want to say, over at Grandma and Grandpa's because I was a baby. My mom was a young widow. And we lived, we lived at 79th and Tallman, right? So that's where we lived. This plane crashed into a bunch of houses at 71st Street and Sacramento or California, something like that. Here, I'll pull it up. Which, if you know Chicago, that's a bike ride. That's a kid's bike ride away. Now, luckily, I was, that young, so I didn't really ride bikes at that time. But everybody in the neighborhood, obviously, all the adults were talking about it. It was all very scary. Crashed into houses. If you're familiar with Chicago Marquette Park, it basically just crashed into the houses around Marquette Park. The accident occurred as the aircraft was on a northwesterly heading to land on runway 31L at Midway Airport. The area was overcast at the time. A pilot landing on the runway immediately after the accident reported that the airport was only visible below 500 feet. Flight 553 was on instruments and it had been cleared by air traffic control. The localizer approach for runway 31L used, I don't care. This is all technical stuff. Let's get into it. When flight 553 reached the Kedzie OMB, which is Kedzie Avenue. That's a street. The aircraft was still at an altitude of 2,000 feet, a full 700 feet above the minimum crossing altitude. So basically the plane was too high when it came down to land, and so it had to abort, and it pulled back up above the height which the decision to land must be finalized. Realizing the aircraft was too high, the captain extended the spoilers, speed brakes, and steepened the aircraft descent rate. Let me get to the point where it was. The aircraft continued at that point to descend at a rate of 1,500 feet per minute, emerging from the cloud 500 feet above the ground. The clouds were really low. So when the plane finally came out of the clouds, it was like following it or descending to land at a rate of 15. It didn't know where it was, basically. The clouds were so low that as soon as the plane came out of the clouds, it was like at street level. It was, let's see here. The aircraft continued to descend per minute, emerging from a cloud at 500 feet until it reached its level. The captain leveled the plane off and increased engine power, but did not advance the throttles fully with the spoilers still extended. Thrust was not enough to maintain level of flight without losing speed. The stick shaker, a stall warning device attached to the pilot's control yoke, activated 6.7 seconds after the aircraft leveled off and continued to sound as the aircraft entered an aerodynamic stall. The aircraft struck trees and then roofs along 71st Street before crashing into a house at 3722 West 70th Place, 1.8 miles southeast of the runway in a residential area of the city known as West Lawn. It was 1 block or half a block away from Marquette Park, which is a big giant park. If you ever saw the movie The Blues Brothers, remember the Nazi rally where the Blues Brothers drive through the park? That's Marquette Park. Now, why is this interesting? Because this was that conspiracy theories around this. Dorothy Hunt, the wife of Howard Hunt, who was one of the people embroiled in the Watergate scandal, which was building at the time, was on board the plane, and she had like 10 grand in $100 bills, which, people said that she was making payoffs to people for, not to talk for the Watergate thing. And the plane was taken down to stop her from. Now, that was all pretty much, at the time, it was a big conspiracy theory. And I think it's been fairly much thrown away. She was shopping. She was going. We didn't have debit cards back then. If you were going to go to Chicago, you were going to spend time on the Mag Mile, you were going to shop, and you were going to shop at expensive stores. You probably needed $100 bills, even in 1972. But yeah, that happened on this day in, no. Hold on. I got to X out of this. I apologize. Happened on this day in 1972. The first plane crash that I remember being aware of as a little kid. And I'm telling you, it's probably that plane crash that has informed my, still to this day, fear of being on an airplane. If I have to be on an airplane for more than 2 hours, I need some kind of Valium. And it's not drinking. Like a lot of people, they get drunk at like the Fridays in the hotel before they take off. That's not for me. I need pharmaceuticals. I need something that is going to calm me. And if by God I am sitting next to a window, that window comes down. I do not. Don't you want to look out the window? No, I do not want to look out the window. I was looking out the window once on a Southwest flight, and I was right over the wing, so I thought maybe that was better. And then I just focused for 2 hours on flight between Dallas and Chicago. I just focused for 2 hours on the bolts holding the wing together because one of them looked a little bit rusted and not completely tightened. That freaked me out. Who do you tell? You're 30,000 feet over Kansas. Who do you tell? Who do you say? And if I do tell, am I a fool? So Valium is needed for flights over 5 hours. 2-hour flights, I can pretty much white knuckle those, but man, I hate flying. Also on this day in 1980, John Lennon was murdered by Mark David Chapman in front of his home at the Dakota apartment complex building in New York City. We won't dwell on that because John Lennon is trending. So we'll talk about this whole thing coming up when we get into the things that are trending and what people are talking about. Of bigger concern, at least locally here in Dallas, And I hadn't realized that it was on the anniversary of John Lennon also being shot and killed. On this day in 2004, the Columbus nightclub shooting took place. Whoa, Pugs. Well, why is that tied into John Lennon? Because for us here locally, we remember this more as the night that Dimebag Darrell from Pantera got killed on stage. This happened at the what was the name of this club? The All Rosa something club in Columbus, Ohio. Nathan Gale was the dude's name. And if you remember, it wasn't Pantera, it was Dimebag's new band that Pantera had blown up. Well, they blew themselves up. And Dimebag had formed another band with his brother Vinny, and they were on stage playing club dates. They were in Columbus, Ohio, and they were playing, and some lunatic who now there's all kinds of theories as to what happened here. Maybe some of you in the chat room who are far more steeped in the history of this might know. Yeah, thank you, Leslie. It was Damage Plan. Damage Plan was his band. But the theory that I remember is that Nathan Gale, the gunman, he blamed Darrell for breaking up Pantera. That was one of the early ones. Again, he's crazy, so who knows ultimately what the motivating factor was. But that was one of the stories that was leaked early on. And man, I remember when that happened. That broke here locally at night, and well, it was obviously because it was a rock show. And I remember watching news coverage. CNN broke in live, and they were doing it, and that was really shaking because at the time, here in Dallas, there were no bigger rock star men about town on the local level than the Abbott Boys. I mean, it was Darrell and Vinnie Paul, and being on the Howard Stern TNA station as we had a lot of interactions with those guys. Vinnie Paul was a crazed, and rest his soul as well. He's no longer with us. He had a heart attack a few years back and passed. But Vinnie Paul was like a diehard comedy fan. He loved comedy. So because my show particularly was very involved with the Improv, we went to all the shows at the Improv. I spent every Friday and Saturday night when a particular comic who was a friend of the show was in town. We would be there, and Vinny would be there, and there would always be a little bit of what are we doing after the show? And many times, Vinny and Darrell and the Pantera guys owned a local gentleman's club. So that was always something that the comedian would like to do. So they'd get taken to the gentleman's club by the owners, who also happened to be legendary rock stars. And, there was a table in the back, and we'd sit around the table and drink and have fun. And it was some of the best memories. Some of the truly best memories were of those days. In particular, guys like Jim Norton and Jim Florentine, and I can't really think of any others, but a number of them. Pretty much, if you were a fun Howard Stern or Opie and Anthony or Pugs and Kelly based comic, the Pantera guys wanted to take us out afterwards, so we would go out and we'd go to the clubhouse, and it was fun. I have to say, I knew on a one-on-one human level, I knew Vinny more than Darrell. Darrell was a little bit, he wasn't really around as much, occasionally and all that. I remember the first time that I met Darrell, we were in Deep Ellum at a Thin Lizzy show. Now, people who know me know that I have a very strange affinity for the band Thin Lizzy. I love Thin Lizzy. I love Phil Lynott. I love, obviously he's gone. He was gone for the reformed Thin Lizzy. But I went with a couple of friends to the Thin Lizzy show in Deep Ellum. And, it was a reformed Thin Lizzy. It was only a couple of the original members and all of that. But it was fun, man. I mean, Thin Lizzy's a great band. They are a great band. We're a great band. And we were in this area of the club that was, it was one of those velvet rope areas, where local VIPs or whatever. I was a DJ. DJs got some of those cool perks from time to time. And I'm standing, I just happened to have been standing for the show right next to Dimebag Darrell. And Dimebag is standing there. And at some point, I decided that I was going to introduce myself because I didn't know Darrell at that point. I had known Vinny from, the comedy stuff and all that. And I turned to Darrell during a break in the show and I said, "Hey, Dime, I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Pugs. I host Pugs Kelly Show. I know your brother pretty well." And I got about that far. And some dude that was with him in a suit, like some record company douchebag, interrupts, stands in between us, and says to Darrell, "Yeah, they're the talk station. They don't really play your stuff anyway, man." Like he was like totally, really disrespectful to me. And Darrell pushed him aside and goes, "Hey, Pugs, man, how you doing? Is Kelly here?" Which I just thought was so cool because it's like he showed that he has that I wasn't just some anonymous, fan. And I wasn't really a Pantera fan. That wasn't really my genre of music, but I still thought they were cool guys and they were good to know on the local level. And he was just so friendly to me. I mean, he engaged me, and he was like the quiet Beatle, if you will. He typically he wasn't that, from what I understand. Well, Vinny was very quiet too. They were both actually pretty quiet guys, at least in my experience. But I just felt, wow, what a nice guy, what a friendly guy. He was talking to me about the band, and he's like, "Are you liking it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I go, "Yeah, I'd never seen him before." And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "It's too bad about Phil." And then got into a nice little conversation about that. And then it just, naturally and organically moved apart, and the show started again. And but it was such a nice experience. And it was nice on my part because he was with some record company guy or some manager dude who was a complete douche-tard. And that guy was just like, so he was wearing a suit in a rock club. And, he was, "Hey, this guy doesn't matter." And Darrell sort of recognized that was really rude and disrespectful, and was very friendly. I had another good experience with, Pantera, or at least Vinnie Paul. This was after Dimebag had died. There was an incident at a Russ Martin, who was another guy who was on our station at the time. There was an incident after Darrell had been killed, after the incident that occurred on this day in 2004, where there was just a bad taste joke played, and Vinny was in the audience when this bad taste joke by the Russ Martin show went off, and Vinny lost his shit on the station. The station was dead to him. The station was blah blah. I mean, he would have nothing to do with 105.3 anymore. It was rough, and it kind of affected me because I had gotten used to hanging out with those guys after some comedy shows. And I remember being told by some mutual friends that I should probably not go to the clubhouse anymore because anyone from 105.3 was at risk of having their asses kicked, because what Russ did had really affected Vinny. And then at a comedy show at the Improv, somebody, not Vinny, but somebody got word. God, what was his name? He was another local drummer. He was a nice kid, really nice guy. I don't remember his name, but I remember he came up to me and he said, "Hey, I just want you to know that Vinny doesn't blame Pugs and Kelly for what happened at that Russ Martin event." And I went, "Oh, thank God." And nothing was ever spoken of it. We went back to being normal. I went back to being able to feel comfortable in the presence of them. But it was, they were good. From my experience, they were good guys. Party animals. I mean, rock stars through and through. But, yeah, no, it wasn't Taz Adam. It was somebody else. It wasn't Taz Bentley. It was another local drummer that I don't know that was necessarily associated with a larger band. I think he was like a drum tech for Vinnie Paul or something. But it was really nice. There were just two experiences with those guys, and they're both gone now. That you think they're big, scary, drunken party animal thrash metal legends, right? And you think, oh God, this could be bad. No, but in my experience, in those two instances, both of those guys showed like a warmth and a decency and a compassion. And so, yeah, it was pretty sad on this day. I remember thinking when that happened to Dimebag, I thought, man, that sucks. That dude was kind of nice. Leslie says, I had to work all day backstage at Starplex. At the end of the day, Dime walked up and mentioned that he hadn't seen me eat or drink all day. He brought me a plate of barbecue and a Budweiser with a glass. He brought the glass because ladies don't drink out of bottles. That's nice. Yeah, that's cool, man. Those are great. It's a day. It's the anniversary. It's a day to think fondly of our lost local rock star legends here in Dallas. All right. Also on this day, let's see here. Oh, another happy birthday. Another birthday being celebrated for our old friend COVID-19. On this day in 2019, the very first confirmed case of COVID-19 was reported in China. So there you go. All right, let's look at a moment of joy, huh? I have to be honest with you. I struggled today with our moment of joy. I there was a good period of time, about 10 minutes before showtime, when I didn't think we had a moment of joy. I thought, geez, could this be a day where there isn't going to be a moment of joy? No way. That's not proper. And then I found this. This is here. Let's look at this, shall we? All right. Okay. So this is a guy. It's always fun when a douche has something totally humiliating happen to him. And this guy seems to be riding around at a skate park. Looks like a skate park. He is on one of those 3-wheel motorcycles. It's probably not his because he seems way too excited to be riding it. Or he just got it like 10 minutes early, because this guy is acting like a guy who's riding something that's not his, but he's sort of fronting like, look how badass I am. All right, let's watch what happens with this guy. This is fun. He also, there's a lot of comments here. Apparently he says the N-word, and he's not he's not cleared for those for that word. So I don't know. But watch what happens to him. This is fun.
Hey, this echo shit, my nigga.
I'm just gonna enter the skate park on a 3-wheeler. Let's hope this doesn't end horribly. Oh, there's a bomb! Ah! It's out of control! Whoa! Let your hand off the... Oh, jeez! Oh, but wait, here's my favorite part. That is the look of a guy who has been severely humbled. This guy gets up immediately, and his first reaction is my friend's 3-wheeler that I've just trashed, okay? And it's not. Pieces fall off. His look at that look says, was anybody watching? Did anybody? Oh, my friend, not only were people watching, but somebody actually got videotape of it. That is humiliation right there. That is the very... Oh, watch it. I'm so cool. Man, you all wish you could be as cool as me.
Hey, this echo shit,
yeah. Look at me, man. You all suck. Look at what I got. I'm going to do something crazy because I am so cool. Whoa. Hey. Whoa. Oh, it's out of control. Yikes. Ah. Is anybody looking? Yeah, we all saw, dude. Now look, that's humility. Or that's a humbling. Now he's looking to see if it's broken. That's great. That's your moment of joy. That's a good one. That's a good moment of joy, especially if you like to see people who are sillily arrogant get their comeuppance. So there you have it. There's your moment of joy. Okay, something we also did today. I thought this was going to have to substitute for the moment of joy, but it didn't, because I found that. Meryl Streep and Jonah Hill are both trending. Why are Meryl Streep and Jonah Hill trending? Well, they're out on a publicity tour for their new film, Don't Look Up, which is a new Adam McKay film. Adam McKay is such a genius. He's so great. If you've seen the trailer for Don't Look Up, it looks so good. It is about an asteroid that is heading towards Earth, and we're all gonna die, and everyone knows we're all gonna die. And it's just basically set in Washington about how Washington, D.C. handles this. And it looks really funny. You can see the trailer. We'll probably show the trailer at some point here on a show coming up, but it looks really great. I love Adam McKay. Look, a guy who can create both Step Brothers and Succession. I mean, come on. I mean, that shows range there as a writer. Oh, also the Big Short. Vice. The movie about Cheney. This guy, Adam McKay's a genius, a true genius. Probably Paul Thomas Anderson, who oddly enough is trending today. Paul Thomas Anderson is my favorite current filmmaker, and probably Paul Thomas Anderson is my favorite filmmaker of the last 25 years or so. I like Richard Linklater. I love him, but Paul Thomas Anderson is up there, and Adam McKay is closing ranks. Boy, Adam McKay. Don't Look Up is the new film. A lot of people. Jennifer Lawrence is in it. Jonah Hill is in it. Trying to think a whole bunch. Jennifer Lawrence, Jonah Hill, Meryl Streep, Leonardo DiCaprio. It's a big cast. It's a really big cast. But why is Jonah Hill and Meryl Streep trending? Well, it's because there was a bit of a generational miscommunication between the two of them. They've been on a press tour now for a while, and every time that Jonah Hill gets interviewed and is asked about Meryl Streep, Jonah Hill calls Meryl Streep the GOAT. Right? The GOAT. She's the GOAT. Meryl Streep is the GOAT. Unfortunately, Meryl Streep doesn't know what that means. Meryl Streep was a little confused about. All right, so I'll read it to you. During the Don't Look Up press tour, Meryl Streep thought her castmate Jonah Hill was repeatedly calling her a goat when he referenced in previous interviews that the Oscar-winning actress was the GOAT, which is, of course, short for greatest of all time. But Meryl Streep kept hearing him call her a goat, and she was like, why is he being mean to me? Why is he calling me that? Video captured from a recent press conference revealed Hill's shock after Streep brought it up. Jonah Hill was decimated when it was revealed to him that her, for a while now, has been thinking that he's just been regularly insulting her by referring to her as a goat. And Jonah Hill was like, oh my God, no, that's not what I meant, Meryl. I thought, here's what Meryl Streep says about it. I thought, well, that's cute. I am kind of an old goat, Streep said, wondering why Hill would call her that over and over. Jonah Hill responded, oh my God, you thought I was calling you a goat? It wasn't until fellow cast member Jennifer Lawrence filled the screen icon in on what it meant. The actress understood. It was only then that Streep understood the compliment and admitted on stage. Jennifer Lawrence says this. I went, Meryl, you know it means greatest of all time, right? Lawrence said, and she goes, what? No, I didn't know that's what it meant. Isn't that fun? That's fun. Here's Jonah Hill. He's out there. Jonah Hill's a baller in his own right. He's a big-time A-lister at this point. Probably one of the most bankable. I see anything Jonah Hill's in. Jonah Hill's great. What a transformation, too, huh? Jonah Hill was the funny fat kid, Fatty Fall Down. That was the career trajectory that he was on. Be the funny fat guy. And then he lost all the weight. And for years and years, people had been telling fat entertainers that if they lose the weight, they lose their career. And Jonah Hill, in his mid-20s, decided that, yeah, you know what? I'm actually an actor, and I don't want to be Fatty Fall Down. And Jonah Hill lost a lot of weight. And boy, oh boy, he's one hell of an actor, too. So no longer Fatty Fall Down. So good for him. But it's hard to argue that Streep has GOAT status, along with starring in some of the greatest movies of all time. She's been nominated for a record 21 Academy Awards, trailing only Katharine Hepburn with 4 wins as actor with the most Oscars. This is just the latest hilarious revelation that we've learned during the Don't Look Up press tour. Jennifer Lawrence previously revealed that she was forced to film most of the movie Toothless and later admitted it was hell working with co-stars Leonardo DiCaprio and Timothée Chalamet during one particular scene. Not to mention, Jonah Hill said Netflix asked him numerous times to stop using a fart machine at the press conferences. All right, so there you go. Don't Look Up follows Lawrence and DiCaprio as astronomers who discover that a comet is on its way to destroy the Earth. The duo set out to warn the world. Streep plays the President of the United States, who doesn't take the threat seriously. Don't Look Up opens in theaters on Friday and will be available on Netflix beginning December 24th. Oh, I know what I'm watching for Christmas. I know what I'm going to get into. I'm getting into some Netflix offering of Don't Look Up, the new Adam McKay movie. So that's good. That's good and that's fun. All right, let's get into some other things that are trending here today because there are a bunch of things trending. What else do we have here? All right, yeah. All right, so on this day in 1980, John Lennon was shot and killed. The Beatle, Mark David Chapman, with a copy of Catcher in the Rye in his back pocket, decided that John Lennon was a demon and needed to die. Now, I remember this. This was before I had become a Beatles fanatic. That didn't happen until college when I started to get like more into music and really kind of embrace. When I was young, I think a lot of young people are like this when you're 14, 15, 16, 17. The only music that matters is the music that's happening right now. Anything that happened before that is the music of your parents and they're lame, or the music of your older brothers and they suck. So, I was very MTV driven. And even within the confines of MTV, I certainly had a lane. I was more into the new wave British stuff. I was more about the Clash and the Cure than I was about Poison and Motley Crue. Although it was later in life, again, working in both the music business and in radio, where I started to open up my mind to that stuff as well and go, no, you know what? I was just a stupid, closed-minded kid who only thought music was invented in 1980. Music began with the Knack's My Sharona, and that was pretty much the drawing line that I made. Nothing before it was any good. But it was in college that a girl, it's always a girl, it's always a girl who opens stupid meathead boys' minds. And she sort of opened my mind to it, and I got really deep into some Beatles stuff. But on this day in 1980, I wasn't. On this day in 1980, the Beatles were just like, they were basically movie stars, former presidents. They were just celebrities that I didn't know much about. I wasn't really all that familiar. But most of America learned of the death of John Lennon in a very non-traditional way. And here, I'm going to share that with you right here. Because it was truly, I remember watching it. I remember where I was when I learned that John Lennon had died. And this is how it was broken. And remember, this is the time we didn't have, we didn't have, CNN. We didn't have Twitter alerts. We didn't have, if you were in front of a TV, if it was a taped show, then you wouldn't know until 10 p.m. when the news came on. But on this particular night, we all happened to have been watching Monday Night Football. And this is how it went down for most of America. This is how we learned of John Lennon being shot and killed.
They've been placed in total perspective for us. I'll finish this. They're in the hurry-up offense.
3rd down 4. Foreman. It'll be 4th down. Kavanaugh will let it run down for one final attempt. He'll let the seconds tick off to give Miami no opportunity whatsoever. Timeout is called. 3 seconds remaining. John Smith is on the line. And I don't care what's on the line, Howard. You have got to say what we know in the booth.
Yes, we have to say it. Remember, this is just a football game, no matter who wins or loses. An unspeakable tragedy confirmed to us by ABC News in New York City. John Lennon, outside of his apartment building on the west side of New York City, the most famous perhaps of all of the Beatles, shot twice in the back, rushed to Roosevelt Hospital, dead on arrival. Hard to go back to the game after that news flash, which in duty bound we had to take. Frank?
Indeed it is. 3 seconds remain. John Smith. Off the hands of Rose, the tight end.
The game went into overtime.
Moore got the touchdown. They blocked the field goal attempt of John Smith. Now they battle in overtime. Delvin Williams. And Delvin Williams taken quickly there. It was number 85, Julius Adams. Gain of a yard. It'll be 3rd and 7.
In case the folks missed the earlier news flash, ABC News has confirmed that John Lennon, a member of the famed Beatles, maybe the best-known member, was shot twice in the back outside of his apartment building in the west side of New York tonight, rushed to the Roosevelt Hospital, dead on arrival. An unspeakable tragedy. Details on Nightline 30 minutes after the end of this contest.
So, yeah, that's how we all learned about it in America. Howard Cosell taught us all. I did find it interesting how first of all, something like that. It's Howard Cosell and Frank Gifford. They were the guys that used to do Monday Night Football at that time, and Giff ain't gonna get that. Giff was not gonna be allowed to break that news. That's Howard's. That's a big one. That's Howard. Howard gets the historic announcement. He knew it would be historic, and he did it. I was not. I know a lot of people didn't like Howard Cosell. I did. I was a kid. I thought he was the voice of football for me as a little kid. Then there was this though. Maybe the reason that Howard wanted to do that on Monday Night Football is because John Lennon, when he moved to New York, one of the things that he wanted to do was learn about American football. And he had been on Monday Night Football with Howard Cosell years earlier when he was just beginning to learn about it. And it was the first football game he had ever gone to. He was invited into the booth with Howard Cosell, and John Lennon and Howard talked about it. And John Lennon talked about how he didn't really understand football and all that. But again, this was years earlier. In the years that passed, John Lennon actually became a fan of the New York Giants. He became a football fan. Probably not a very well-versed one, but he understood it. He liked it. John Lennon wanted to be a New Yorker. He wanted to be seen as a person of New York. And so that was just all a part of it. I don't know that he ever got into baseball. I don't know that he was a Yankee or a Mets fan, but he definitely did try. I mean, in books, they would talk about how you couldn't interrupt John Lennon if he was watching a Giants game, like towards the end of his life in the late 70s. And he died in 1980. But here we have that as well. We have John Lennon at his first football game being interviewed by Howard Cosell. Let's see if we can get to this.
Your host, Brent Musburger.
Yeah.
You just knew that Elvis was not going to let the...
Now I've got...
Here we go. So this was the first time John Lennon went to a football game. And this is with Howard Stern. And again, this is Howard Cosell. And this is about, I think this is 1974. So this is 6 years before he would be killed. John Lennon at his first football game. Here he is with Howard Cosell. We'll back it up just a little bit. Here we go.
I've got a most familiar figure and face for all of you across the country here with me now. Of the original Beatles, Mr. John Lennon.
Hello,
John, nice to see you, John.
Nice
Want
to
to
meet
move
you.
that up just a little closer?
How are you?
What's been your view of this American professional football scene?
It's an amazing event and sight. It makes rock concerts look like tea parties. But I must say, the first thing I heard when I got in was I'm playing a Beatles tune yesterday, which cheered me up no end. I've been trying to follow the game, but I couldn't understand why half the team was off and half the team was on.
Well, we can't explain that to you now, but what's your general impression of the game as compared with A, rugby, and B, soccer football?
It's nothing like soccer, but I can see a very close relationship to rugby football, which has the same shaped ball and they move 15 yards down the line at a time. But I can see the game here has changed completely from that. But it's very similar in its aspects. The goals are the same. They have points the same. They have to get a touchdown the same. But they don't have the scrum here, where both teams really punch each other,
Well, we have our own kind of scrum, as we've been showing with defensive end Freddie Dreyer, number 89 of the Rams, all night. Will the Beatles ever reunite?
You never know. You never know. I mean, it's it's always in the wind. If it looked like this, it might be worth doing, right?
You did just spend the weekend with Ringo.
Yeah, and I promised him I'd mention his album Out Now, and I said I wouldn't mention my own, which is out now, too. Forget it.
Thank you very much,
It's been
John.
a pleasure. Thanks for having me, Hal.
Well, maybe we'll get to talk to you later in the show. Right now, we've got to rejoin the Giffer. Frank
Okay,
Gifford.
Giffer. Over to Giffer. Bye-bye.
Over to
Let's do
Gifford.
exactly that. Let's go to the Giffer, looking as dapper as usual. Frank, that was some night in the broadcast booth.
Brent, we've had a lot of memorable moments on Monday night. I'll never forget that one. I ran into John Lennon with a publicity agent I knew that afternoon. I invited him, never dreamed he would show up. We already had Ronald Reagan scheduled. Howard was going to do him. When Howard found out one of the Beatles would be there, I'll take the Beatle, Gifford. And he did. But it is a great night. But I remember mostly looking around to make sure that he was there. And just before the end of the first half, I saw the future president with his arm around John Lennon explaining football to John Lennon. And I thought, boy, this is what it's all about. These guys are political and philosophical poles apart. And maybe there is something good about this game.
Yes, indeed. Enjoy the second half, Frank.
Isn't that interesting? That would be quite a picture to have, huh? Ronald Reagan and John Lennon, and Ronald Reagan with his arm dropped around John Lennon, explaining to him what American football is all about. I love that. That's a pretty great thing. Jennifer says in the chat room, I still have the Dallas newspapers from that day. There were two then. I was waiting up on my husband to get home from work and hear the news. I think I stayed up all night because I was so upset about the news. Let's see here. Leslie says, I loved all the Howard and Muhammad Ali stuff. Yeah, Howard was sort of Muhammad Ali's go-to guy. Howard was on, the right side of history. Muhammad Ali was a guy that was despised, absolutely despised by the tastemakers of America back in that time. He was not one of the good ones, as they might have said back in the time. He was in league with people that white America was afraid of. He refused to go into the military. He relinquished his belt. And Howard Cosell was like the main guy who would actually appear in public with Muhammad Ali and would interview him and would have had a relationship with him and sort of allowed Muhammad Ali to present his side, his argument as to what he was all about to, the American public. And that wasn't something that was really being allowed. And so, yeah, Howard, right side of history, because as we all know, Muhammad Ali died an icon. Whatever blip that was on his popular cultural resume, it certainly was something that he passed and he got through. And Muhammad Ali died one of the great American heroes. And Howard Cosell, he was one of the guys who recognized that all the way back then. Jeff Glenn says, with age comes perspective. I always thought I was much further removed from the Beatles than I was. I didn't realize at the time, 15 to 20 years wasn't a long time. The new McCartney tunes I was listening to in the 90s music is older music now than the Beatles music was when I got into them. That's an interesting perspective. Yeah, that is interesting. I remember seeing, I've seen Paul McCartney 3 times now. And I remember the first 2 times that I saw him was Flowers in the Dirt tour. I saw 2 of those concerts, one at Soldier Field and one at just a big basketball arena in Chicago. And I remember thinking at the time, well, you're probably never going to do this again. Got to see him now. Got to see him. The dude was like my age. Back then, the dude was like my age now. And I was like 20 years old thinking, well, his life is over. He's never. So, look how silly we were. All right, let's see what else is trending today. Trending of interest. Nancy Grace. Tot Mom. Nancy Grace is trending. She's trending alongside Don Lemon. Now, yesterday we talked about how Don Lemon might be the next domino to fall there at CNN because of stuff that was revealed yesterday in the Jussie Smollett case happening in Chicago. Jussie Smollett revealed that the reason he withheld his phone from Chicago police who were conducting an investigation into a hoax, the reason he withheld the phone was not because, as police believed, it would show a link between him and the Otis Sundario brothers, who police believe he hired to perpetrate a hoax, the hoax attack. But he said, no, that wasn't the reason. The reason I withheld the phone was because I didn't want to get Don Lemon in trouble. Don Lemon, CNN's primetime 9 p.m. host, 9 p.m. Central host, was apparently sending Don Lemon was apparently sending Jussie info about his conversations with Chicago police in his course as a journalist. As a journalist, he is chasing the story, and he found out some things from Chicago police, and apparently they were text messages that Don Lemon had sent to Jussie Smollett, giving him a heads up on what the Chicago Police Department had been thinking at that point. Now, for me, that is a clear violation of journalistic ethics. But, what world do we live in 2021? I don't know. They just cashed out on Chris Cuomo a couple of days ago for his clear violation of journalistic ethics. So, is CNN going to do the same with Don Lemon? That's what a lot of people are thinking, and that's why Don Lemon is trending. But also Nancy Grace, for an interesting reason. Fox Nation host Nancy Grace poured cold water on the idea that CNN anchor Don Lemon's text to Jussie Smollett constitute a scandal for the network and its 9 p.m. Central host. Fox and Friends host Ainsley Earhart introduced, Earhart, that was a slip. Fox and Friends host Ainsley, by the way, did you see what she said today? We'll get into it. Somebody burnt down the Fox Christmas tree. Terrible. The war on Christmas, folks, has taken to the streets. Somebody burned down the Fox Christmas tree. We're going to talk about that. But Ainsley Earhart was on the air this morning, almost near tears, talking about what a crime it was to do this and how that Christmas tree represents everybody. The Fox Christmas tree represents Christians, and it represents Hanukkah. And yeah, she said the Fox Christmas tree represents Hanukkah. Oh, lady. Oh, pretty lady. Come on. Stop it. Look, I get it. Especially during this first hour of the show where I do nothing but stream of consciousness, talk, and sometimes stupid shit flows out. But she doesn't stream like me. She's sitting on a couch reading cue cards. She has to vamp for like maybe 30 seconds at a time. Did she not? A Christmas tree in no way, shape, or form represents any of the values of Hanukkah. It's a completely different thing. It's nice trying to be inclusive, but that's just a dumb thing to say. So today on Fox and Friends, host Ainsley Earhart introduced Grace by summing up Smollett's testimony on Monday, in which he claimed that Lemon had warned him the Chicago Police Department did not believe his story. Smollett, who's on trial for 6 counts of lying to police, also insisted that the 2019 hate crime he reported was not a hoax. Regarding the text from Don Lemon, not exactly breaking news, said Nancy Grace, who is the host of Crime Stories on Fox Nation. She goes on to say, I don't think Lemon divulged anything that the rest of us didn't already know, that cops do not believe that Smollett was a hate crime victim. It's absolutely absurd to say this about Don Lemon, she explained. Okay. So let's take a 30,000-foot view of this, okay? It's kind of interesting that a well-known shit thrower like Nancy Grace would be on Fox and Friends defending CNN when, these two news organizations are in all-out war. It has been a feeding frenzy over at Fox the last couple of days, just licking their chops over the Chris Cuomo thing. Fox News hates CNN. Fox News would never say anything like this about CNN. So here you got Nancy Grace showing up on, what is one of their main shows, talking about it's not a big deal. Don Lemon didn't do anything wrong. It's absurd to think that he did something wrong. It's not absurd to think he did something wrong. I try to be as in the middle of all this as possible, but that's not an absurdity. It is something you might want to talk about. It is something you might want to look at closer. But to think that he may have violated journalistic ethics in doing so, and doing what he did, sending notes on what the Chicago police were thinking to Jussie Smollett, that's not absurd. So why is Nancy Grace showing up on Fox News defending CNN? CNN has a primetime opening. CNN doesn't have Chris Cuomo anymore. They're rolling people in and out of there. And Nancy Grace used to have a show with some pretty good ratings. And CNN appears to be incredibly aware that they do not appeal to a crowd that might enjoy Nancy Grace's style. Nancy Grace wants that show. I'm telling you, it's clear as day to me. Nancy Grace is going on Fox and Friends this morning, defending CNN and defending Don Lemon. And it is absolutely clear to me that she doesn't want to be on Fox News Nation or whatever she is. She's been relegated to like a second string B team version of Fox News. Nancy Grace has been out of the spotlight for a number of years. She popped back in with the Brian Laundrie Patino story. And now she's sort of reemerging. She sees an opening here. She is saying nice things about CNN because Nancy Grace wants that shot. And why would you? I can't blame her. I mean, she's a lawyer, smart lady. She's a savvy lady. But that's why Nancy Grace is showing up on Fox and Friends this morning and defending CNN and defending Don Lemon, which a lot of people are shocked by. But don't be. They have an opening. They have a prime time in the spotlight opening currently. Nancy Grace doesn't want to have to get a call from them and explain why she was bashing them if she is, in fact, someone that they would consider for that slot. And I believe they would. I believe Nancy Grace does exactly the kind of show that CNN needs to do in order to get back in the ratings game because they're getting torched. Now, she doesn't do exactly the same kind of show that they would need if they wanted to sort of establish themselves as a legitimate news outlet. No, she doesn't do that. But if they're still in the ratings game and they're looking to do something to prop up their primetime numbers, she might be somebody you'd look at. She's got a track record of success. She's a flamethrower. She's got a following. People like her. They could package her. They could promote her. They could turn her into something. She could probably soften her image a little bit and widen out her base. Nancy Grace is trending because she wants that CNN show. You watch, you see, you'll see. I don't know if she's going to get it, but I'm just saying that's probably what she's thinking. Pfizer is trending today for a number of reasons, but most commonly it's because Pfizer is saying that their vaccine shot is Omicron friendly. Okay, good. Man. So I got to get my booster, right? I'm like trying to get my booster. So I signed up yesterday, made an appointment at CVS. I jumped through all the hoops, filled out all the paperwork online. I mean, I don't mean to say it's not that difficult, but it's, they ask some questions. So you got to check boxes and you got to hit next and, go to the next page and then check. No, I do not have this. No, I do not have that. Medical history stuff. What was the last date of your shot? Okay, got to put that in. What shot was it? Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson. Okay, it's Pfizer. So I click the Pfizer thing on that. And then I schedule my appointment. They say they have the appointment open. You can go get your booster shot. No problem, no harm, no foul. I click enter. It says, are you sure about the information? I went back. I looked through the whole thing. I'm like, yes, I am sure about all the information. I click next. I click continue. And I immediately get a thing that says, congratulations. You have been, your appointment has been confirmed. And then it says when, and it says where, and then it says Moderna. I didn't hit Moderna. They're going to be preparing a Moderna shot for me. I said Pfizer. Now, are they interchangeable for the booster? I don't know, maybe. But I'm not going to do that appointment. I'm just going to go do another one. I'm going to work on that after the show. I got to figure out exactly what went wrong. And if I do it exactly the way I'm supposed to do it again, and it comes up Moderna, I guess I'm just going to go and I'm going to say, look, it keeps saying Moderna. It keeps saying that I am ready for my Moderna booster. I'm team Pfizer on this. Not that I had much choice. I mean, it's just where I went. It's what they gave me. But Pfizer says that their booster or their their shot is effective against the Omicron variant. So there we go. Earthquakes are trending. Earthquakes are trending all over the world. It says, dude, you should have just gone to the store as a walk-in. I'm sure I could have. I'm sure. But, look at me doing what I'm told. They suggest that you make an appointment. So here I am. But you're probably right. I mean, I don't know that there are the long lines here for the booster or the vaccine in general that maybe I got in Chicago. I had to wait months. I had to wait and wait and wait. In Chicago, I was on lists. I would get text alerts and they'd say, there are now openings near you. And so then I'd go to schedule an opening and they'd be like, sorry, those openings are gone. I'm like, darn! My move down here to Dallas was delayed by 2 weeks because I couldn't get my second shot. I was like, I gotta get my second shot. Nope, sorry, we're out. We don't have any more. Nope, you want to drive 50 miles? No, I don't want to drive 50 miles. And then that was actually a plan. I lived in Chicago, and there were shots available in Illinois on the route down to Dallas. And I was like, okay, so maybe what if I just got my second shot in Springfield? What if I just drive 200 miles and I could get it in Springfield and I'll continue the rest of the drive? And I'm like, oh, hell no. I got sick on both shots. I'm a delicate flower, apparently. My system, I get like a little touch of the flu after the first one, got a little touch of the flu after the second one, and I couldn't raise my arm. The arm that they put it in. Now, not the day of. The day of, I was fine. I could shoot hoops. I could do whatever. But the next day, man, ow. And they say that's the most common side effect of it, is that your arm hurts for like days after. So I didn't want to be driving for like 12 hours in a car, feeling slightly fluish and, my arm, not resting my arm on anything and aching. No. So I delayed the trip, but now I'm trying to get my booster. Let's see here. Amy says, we were all Pfizer except for boosters. When I got mine, protocol was no shot mixing. By the time my husband and kids, okay. A lot of people are okay. Apparently it's fine. Apparently you can shot mix. Short reason, it's good for your body to see as many different versions of this virus as possible. Okay. Jeff Glenn says injection site tenderness is a bitch. Yeah, that's the arm pain. That was not good. Jennifer Blair Martin says it was difficult getting the first shot. Second shot was no issue, and neither was the booster. But they did have a lot of kids getting shots on the day I got the booster. You feel icky? See, I don't want to feel icky. But you know what? If you're telling me that you feel icky with the Moderna shot, then then it's probably going to be doubly bad for me because I felt icky with the Pfizer shot. The Pfizer shot gave me a little bit of the flu thing going on. All right, so that's good. Also, earthquakes are trending. We have a lot of earthquakes, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if we are gearing up for a big one, but man, oh man, there have been a shit ton of earthquakes over the past 24 hours. 40 plus 5 magnitude earthquakes in the past 24 hours have struck off the coast of Oregon. Now, I didn't know about this. I know about the San Andreas fault in California because that affects movie makers, and movie makers make movies about things that affect them. So the San Andreas fault is probably the best known fault here in the continental U.S. But I grew up in Illinois, where we sit on the biggest one in the country, in the continent, the New Madras fault. The New Madras fault line, which created the Mississippi River. That's that's that big crack that filled up with water. So I knew about the New Madras and I knew about the San Andreas fault line. But apparently there's another really big one just off the coast of Oregon. And that thing is rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, crumbling. That thing is going off. In the last 24 hours, they have had 40 plus earthquakes that are over a 5 magnitude, which are big, sizable earthquakes. But they've been happening offshore. And very little has been felt on land. So, that's a good thing. But then also there was an earthquake last night in California. Inland Empire suffered a 3.6 earthquake overnight. The Sandwich Islands in the UK last night also suffered some fairly... My phone dying? I thought my phone was dying. Suffered a fairly significant earthquake. So, I don't know. Last 24 hours, everybody's talking about earthquakes. Let's see here. Earthquakes are trending. Kellogg's is trending. Are you a breakfast cereal guy? I used to be. I love breakfast cereal. In fact, many of you longtime listeners know that one of my dreams is to open a restaurant that only serves breakfast cereal. Hey, it's 1:00. That means my guy is here. Let's bring him in.
Hey.
I was telling everybody, I said, folks, if you miss a show, you miss a lot. And then I said, if you thought E and I got into a pretty dramatic and give and take yesterday over the mask issue, you should have been tuned in for Pillow Talk. 'Cause
Ay.
that was you and James Parker. That was one where I just sat back and I needled a little. I said little things I need to go. So you folks might want to go back and check out the Pillow Talk edition because old Sunglasses came out last night and he was slinging them hot.
I just was responding to what he said. I mean,
I listened back to it. I like to hate watch myself after the show. I listened back to it. It was good. It was good. It was.
Wow.
You were the voice of reason who were basically echoing what I think everybody in the chat room and everybody listening was thinking. You provided that service to the people. You were doing it very well. And it was crazy.
It was
Oh,
crazy. I'm still in shock that he said it. Like,
yeah.
I'm just wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, James Parker, man. He's got no filter. He's got no filter, and he says what he thinks, and he thinks what he says. All right, so we were just going through some stuff. We got through a bunch of little things here. Kellogg's is trending, and I was talking about my brilliant idea for a cereal bar that serves nothing but cereals, allowing on college campuses. This has to be on college campuses, and it's got to be a place where. Remember the idea? You got cartoons showing on all the TVs.
Mm-hmm.
No tables, just like shag carpeting and beanbag chairs, and kids can sit on the floor just like they did when they used to eat cereal in the morning in front of the TV. All the servers are wearing pajamas or flannel pajamas or robes or whatever. It's a morning breakfast kind of theme.
I don't know about like shag carpeting on the floor.
Yeah,
That
milk is going to be a problem. Spilt milk is going to be a problem.
Spilt milk and like crushed like cereal getting
is.
ground into it might not be a good idea.
Our vacuum cleaner and carpet cleaning budget is probably going to be prohibitive. So yeah, you're right. We'll move back when we sit down and we game this thing out. Yeah, I'm flexible. Got to have the cartoons though. Got to have the cartoons.
I think
and
the cartoons and the cereal and all the different flavored milks. I'm down with that. I just don't know. Like, I haven't really seen carpets work in restaurants, and I went to Panera Bread Company, or the Panera place that's on Lemon like 2 days ago, and I was like, man, they got carpet on the floor in there. Like,
gross. It is kind of gross. I guess
kind of gross.
What about throw rugs? How about throw rugs that we can clean every so often instead of just wall-to-wall shag carpeting?
I don't know. I just don't know. Like, where did all of a sudden like carpet in restaurants just seems like it's not a good idea.
Yeah, I can see that. Like I said, man, I'm flexible. Hey, we get in front of some money people. I'm willing to hear their objections. So essentially, it's on college campuses. It's for college kids who are still a bit infantile in their eating habits, and if they can study in the morning, they can do their homework. We give them big giant bowls of cereal, and here's what you do. It's almost like a buffet or like a cafeteria style. You walk down and you see these giant plastic containers filled with all different kinds of cereal. And you get the bowl, right? You get the bowl, and then you say, all right, I'm going to take a little bit of Fruity Pebbles. Maybe I'm going to put some of these Cocoa Puffs on top of that, and maybe a little bit of raisin. And you mix it all up, and then there'll be a little fruit bar. What do you want? Blueberries, strawberries? You like cherries? You like cut bananas? That'll all work. And then you get your milk. You can have chocolate milk, strawberry milk, any kind of milk. We can go crazy with the milks. And then at the end, it's just like in high school. We had a cafeteria system like this in high school. When you'd order taco salad, you could build the taco salad as big as you want. Mm-hmm. But at the end, you just put it on a little scale, like at froyo places.
You weigh it out.
Yeah, you weigh the bowl, and depending on how much.
Yeah, because there really isn't much difference in price from cereal to cereal.
No, and you can get different sized bowls. Like me, we can have like a crazy big giant bowl for like the big football players who want to eat, and the spoons can be big, like big giant spoons, so you get big bites every time. I'm telling you, this is a winner. Kellogg's will be a partner in this, I'm sure. Kellogg's, General Mills, whatever but Kellogg's is trending today. Kellogg's is trending because there's a big strike going on at the Kellogg's plant there in Battle Creek, Michigan. I think Kellogg's is Battle Creek. Yeah.
Yep.
They have decided that they are going to replace all of their strike. They're done. They're done negotiating. They are done. If you're on the picket line today and you are picketing, you've just lost your job. They're firing everybody, and they are just going to hire all non-union workers to make your cereal. What do you think of that? What are your thoughts
Well,
on
I
the whole
think with the
union
shortage of
situation?
workers that are out there these days, good luck.
Yeah, but these are good jobs. Obviously not good enough for the union because they're on strike. But these aren't like fast food jobs. These are plant, middle class jobs
It'll
with
be
health
interesting to
benefits.
see if they can fill them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they will. I don't think that'll be a problem. I don't think that unions today, and talking about Michigan, dude, there is maybe no bigger union state in America than Michigan. The United Auto Workers ran that state for years, and unions are strong. Unions are strong in Illinois. Unions are strong in Michigan. Our unions are strong in New York. The big urban cities that have factories and big companies that employ lots and lots of people who do labor. They're always very big in unions. Do you know that? Here's my problem with unions. I think that unions on paper are a great idea. They're supposed to serve the interest of the worker as a collective. The problem is the last 50, 60 years of unions in America, the worker has taken their eye off of who they're putting in positions of power. And the corruption that runs through unions is just untenable. They have destroyed it. There is graft, there is money, look at the Teamsters, man. You know why Vegas has billion-dollar casinos? Because Teamster leaders don't give a shit about their pension funds. They actually spend money on shady business deals and then get edged out, and Jimmy Hoffa ends up missing. Unions have not done the worker a very good service over the past 50 to 60 years. If you can change that, if you can somehow get back to a place where the union leaders are actually in the service of the middle-class worker, then that's a good thing. But as unions stand in America right now, honestly, I say, dude, when I was working in radio, we were a union shop. One of the things Kelly and I couldn't believe when we moved down to Dallas was that these radio stations down here in Texas were not union shops. In Chicago, if a light bulb burned out, not like a light bulb on the board, a light bulb in the hallway, a light bulb in the room that I was working, a light bulb in the lamp in our office, if a light bulb burned out, I couldn't just change the light bulb. I had to sit in the dark. I had to fill out a form. I had to hand it in to the union steward of the radio station. And then at some point, they'd get around to sending an engineer down, a union engineer, to change the light bulb. How insane is that?
Well, I think what's happened, because unions, in my experience, were predominantly up north, and the South was pretty much without unions.
Well, they had slaves for a number of years. So,
and as somebody who came down here after experiencing unions up north, I felt like it was the pendulum effect. Up north, the unions had pushed the pendulum too far. Like you said, they raised the rates high. You had to go through all this bureaucracy. You basically couldn't fire a union employee for doing something
terrible,
stupidly wrong, horribly wrong. And on the reverse of that, down south, without the unions, the employers had pretty much ran roughshod over the workers. And if you follow the history of the Texas workers' compensation law that went into effect in 1991, I mean, workers'
I'm sorry. I should have presented you better. You actually know quite a bit about workers' rights here in the state of Texas.
Yeah, workers got ran over by their employers and the insurance that they were being provided and the rights that were taken away from them by not being able to sue their employer because their employer provided them with workers' comp insurance. So there's a place for unions. It's just like you said, up north, they got a little too far, and down south, they didn't have them at all. And so I don't want to see unions go, but I'd like to see them implemented in the South in order to gain control of some of the ways that the insurance companies and the employers beat down the injured worker.
Well, Kellogg seems to be out of the union game. That's why they're
I think
trying
that's going to be hard, though. Like,
in Michigan,
depending on if management isn't in the union, which a lot of times that was the case, the management was not part of the union, then you might have an ability to train people on the job, or that haven't been on the job, train them on the job in order to fill into those positions. But if you've had your whole assembly line unionized, I mean, we're talking some skilled jobs in order to be able to run those machines and run that equipment, and how to load it properly and make sure people don't get hurt. And if you just had a whole assembly line just walk out, I mean,
good. Yeah, how are you going to train? How much of your bottom line is going to be impacted while you train new people to do it safely and properly?
Exactly. And how much product is not going to get out the door?
Yeah.
And is there any waste and things that will,
Well, there's a bean counter who has figured the amount of money that you're going to lose in productivity versus the amount of money you would have to give the union to get them back on the line, and they've probably figured that it's worth it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. Also trending today. This is a silly one. Well, I suppose if you are a Christmas tree fetishist, it's not silly. Fox Christmas is trending. Why? Well, because of this. This happened last night out in front of the Fox News headquarters. It's a beautiful tree. Fox News in New York City has one of the most beautiful trees. Some say it's even better than the one at Rockefeller Center. And some dude walked up and lit it on fire last night. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. It's harmless. It's harmless. Well, luckily it was harmless. I suppose there was.
Yeah, they showed the shell of it this morning. It's basically one of those trees that had rings, and they had everything wrapped around it. I mean, those things got to be obviously, you're flammable as hell.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't know how he did it, but about 11:50 last night, some dude walked up to the Fox News Christmas tree in front of Fox News Center there on Avenue of the Americas, I think, in New York City, and torched up the tree. And boy, they were acting today on Fox News like somebody had shot the president. It was.
You definitely got to feel like you're a target.
Yeah. A man arrested for setting fire to the Fox News Christmas tree. A man was taken into custody early Wednesday morning after allegedly setting fire to the Fox News' massive Christmas tree. The blaze started shortly after midnight, about 11:15 our time, in front of the News Corporation's building on Fox News Square in Manhattan, which also houses the Wall Street Journal and the New York Post offices. The fire quickly destroyed the holiday decorations. Trees nearby were also heavily damaged in the fire. The suspect, 49-year-old Craig Tamanaha, Japanese guy? It's got a Japanese feel to it, is believed to be homeless. So the homeless guy set fire to the tree.
Yeah.
All right.
There's a lot of things I'd like to do to the Fox, but I don't think I would set the tree on fire.
The tree's beautiful. The tree didn't do it. The tree is there. It's Christmassy. If you're in New York City, I think it's funny that like somebody would use such a stupid, unnecessary act of vandalism. I
wonder, was he
ridiculous.
Cold?
Maybe he was cold. He was homeless. That's how Your Honor, my client wasn't making any sort of political statement. He was simply a victim of the structure of the modern American economic system. The separation between the haves and the have-nots has come home to roost this very Christmas Eve. That would be my argument if I was his lawyer. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's a victim. Your Honor, he's a victim of the difference between the haves and the have-nots. This is in no way, shape, or form a targeted attack on Fox News Media Corporation, Rupert Murdoch family, or anybody on the air at the time of the arson. Fox News Media CEO Suzanne Schott said the man behind the malicious arson attack was apprehended at the scene and charged with arson. In a statement, yeah, of course he was apprehended there. He's homeless. Where's he going to go? Where he got nowhere to run to. He's looking for maybe it was cold. Maybe it was this is something that happens in Chicago. Homeless guys commit petty crimes just so that they get arrested, especially when it's cold.
Yeah, they want to go down.
Yeah, they want to get taken because staying in a jail cell is oftentimes better than what's available to them at either the homeless shelters, or when it's really cold outside. There's just not enough homeless shelters in Chicago. They sleep in doorways, they sleep in bus stations, So why not? Why not get a meal? You get taken down. If you're already homeless, what's a little petty larceny?
Well,
Yeah.
several times when I was in there, I had guys that were in there that were like, the reason I'm here is because it's cold outside and
Cold
I get
outside.
fed 3 times a day.
That's right. And a good conversation. I can tell I'm a storyteller by nature. I get food. It's warm in here. Fox News Media CEO said that the man behind the malicious arson attack was apprehended at the scene and charged with arson. In a statement to the Daily Beast detailing the incident, she noted that the lighting of the 50-foot tree had become a new wonderful tradition in recent years, and we will not let this deliberate and brazen attack of cowardice deter us. We are in the process of rebuilding and installing a new tree as a message that we will rebuild, is apparently their message. And
Well, he lit the tree just in a different way than they anticipated.
I mean, what I just showed you was kind of beautiful. It was
for a
pretty.
fleeting moment.
Yes,
like maybe that's the way they should get rid of the tree.
Burn it up.
Yeah, just at the end, like kind of like the last night is a bonfire.
War on Christmas. War on Christmas. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this guy just wanted to. He just wanted to go to jail. He saw an opportunity. I don't know that this is necessarily. They'll turn it into the war on Christmas thing, but he's a homeless guy who was cold in New York, and he thought, just light this on fire. That's what I'm going with. That's what I'm guessing it is. Let's see, what else do we have here? SEAL Team 8 is trending today. Apparently, SEAL Team member, a member of the SEAL Team 8 died. He fell over the weekend. It's trending now. He was a commander of SEAL Team 8. And he was rappelling. It was an exercise. He was rappelling from a helicopter on a rope down to the ground. Navy SEALs are known to do. And he fell. He fell. And they don't know if the rope snapped. They think that there's a possibility that the rope wasn't tied properly and that it snapped and that he fell to his death. Whew, that's a rough way to go. So SEAL Team 8, tough job. School shooter ad is trending. Well, not in so many words. I can't find the word that actually has it trending. I want to show you this. This is I was holding this back for when you join me because I wanted you to see this.
I think I know you're about to show me. I saw it earlier.
Yeah, so good. So maybe you got some thoughts on it. Because what a surprise. Pugs has got some shots. So this is some thoughts. So this is an ad that's trending. It started trending last night. I don't know how to make this bigger. All right, here we go. Let's hold on. You know what? I'm not. There's no reason for me to really talk about it. We'll just show it. Without me giving you any sort of preamble. Just watch this. This is going around, and give me your thoughts on it. Here we go.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils too. These new socks? They can be a real lifesaver. And I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Okay.
Just what I need for the new year.
So there we go. Thoughts?
It's hard to watch.
Yep. Especially since it takes about 15, 20 seconds for you to realize what it is. Looks like a Target commercial. Looks like a silly commercial for Christmas gifts.
It's hard to watch. It's hard to believe that that's true. 144 shootings in 2021.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, the
mean,
numbers are.
I just like that's just hard to stomach.
Okay, so here's my thoughts on it. I can't believe that somebody sat in a meeting and thought that would be effective. I think it's powerful. I think it's it seems to me that they're trying to be cute. They're trying to be, you know, I mean, I get it. It's satire. It's heavy, dark satire. That's what it is. Heavy, dark satire. But to see this a week, and I saw it yesterday, Tuesday night, 1 week after the Oxford shooting, to see it like so close, I just felt that is in such bad taste. That's really just, I mean, I may even support the message that they're trying to get across, that we need to take school. What hell might support that. I absolutely support the message that we need to take more action in protecting our children in our schools. Whatever that is, we need to get rid of all of the political bullshit that people are dug into, and we need to seriously consider how we can help keep our kids safer in our schools. But man, I saw that and I just thought that is not the way that I would have done it. That seems to be a little bit glib. It seems to be a little bit wink wink nudge nudge, and I don't think that's appropriate for the topic.
I don't have I mean, I think it's doing what it's meant to do.
People talking about it, people showing it, people sharing it.
People showing it, people sharing it, people looking at that and going, wow, I think that may be inappropriate, or God, that's hard to see.
Yeah.
But I think that's exactly what they are trying to do in order for people to just stop turning their head and going, hopes and prayers, hopes and prayers. You know, I mean, I don't know that it's going to be effective, because I think you look at
I think
that.
they're preaching to the choir. I think
Well, that's what I mean. I think you look at that ad, and if you are on the side of, wow, I'd like to see something happen, I don't know that anybody has an idea for what to do or how to make it better. I mean, you know, if you said, okay, we need to pick up all the guns, that ain't going to work. Okay, we need to eliminate assault rifles, that ain't going to work. And it's almost like right now, the horse is out of the barn here in America, and I don't know that you're ever going to be able to get that horse back in.
Well, you know, I wasn't even joking. I don't think you were with us last week when I was talking about an idea that I had. Schools, apparently, metal detectors cost schools between $5,000 and $10,000, right, dollars to install, and so that's why a lot of the school districts don't have that. And I don't know for what reason the federal government isn't subsidizing those purchases. You think because it would probably take taxes or something, and we don't want tax, so whatever. So last week I had this idea after seeing, learning about what happens during an active shooter drill in schools. One of the things that they do is they barricade the doors of the classroom. They take all of the desks and everything, and they basically pile them up, you know, jankily, like a bad jigsaw puzzle put together incorrectly, to barricade the door. That's one of the things that they do. And I thought, okay, so instead of, you know, the metal detectors and all that, and I think the metal detectors should be there as well, but what happens if somebody just, like Adam Lanza at Sandy Hook, a metal detector wouldn't have stopped him. He would have just walked right through the metal detector and shot the security guard who was there. You know, I mean, people who enter these schools, metal detectors are to find kids who are maybe in gangs or whatever, who have it, who are thinking about doing something. But in a lot of these cases, these guys come into the school shooting. So a metal detector isn't going to do that. So my idea was, And I'm actually serious about this. I after watching this crazy mountain of desks and garbage cans and blackboards and stuff that were piled up against the door, I thought, why can't the kids' desks in the classrooms be metal and be because they already have classroom desks, they're wooden and they're hollow inside. Why can't they be made with some sort of tough metal surface that in the event of a drill, you can flip them, move them, and then they fit together, creating a wall that actually barricades the door instead of this crazy haphazard things piled on top of each other. I mean, that seems like a very normal, reasonable idea, and something that somebody out there who's a metal fabricator maybe ought to get on, because the federal government might even subsidize a company like that. If you could build school desks for kids that could be easily turned into a metal barricade for doors. But I mean, there are a lot of things we can do, and we have to think in that way. We have to think, because stopping the guns ain't going to happen. Okay, we've been over this. Getting guns out is not going to happen. People are not. We're not going to be able to take guns. We're not going to be able to make any gun laws. We've been trying to do that for 40 years. That is not going to happen. Okay. Also, mental health. That's not going to happen. A huge mental health bill was struck down over the summer. They wanted all of this money to get people, especially juveniles, treated and in programs. And no, that was struck down. Too much money. So we've got to now move to, okay, if it's going to happen, how do we protect the kids when it's happening? Because we're obviously not going to be able to stop it from happening. Those attempts have fallen on deaf ears. The limiting of guns, the new rules for who can have a gun, the mental health, all of that stuff, those would prevent it from happening in the first place. We're not getting any movement on that. So now we have to live in the reality of the situation that these are happening. So we're in the moment. So what do we do? I think the metal desks is a good idea, and they could all fit together. Like, they're designed to fit together and create almost like a Viking shield wall against the door instead. And I got this idea when I was looking at the video from inside the Oxford classrooms, where it was just garbage cans on top of desks, on top of a blackboard with a TV pushed in front. It was like very, a big dude could push right through that.
It may be a good idea, but if you're talking about cost, the amount of metal to replace every current desk in every school with some new fabricated desk that would go together to other fabricated desks, the cost of that versus not being able to afford a $5,000 or $10,000 metal detector. I mean,
well, no, that's not in place of the metal detector. It's because we're just not going to do metal. They've already said they're not. Oh, so I see what you're saying. So
what I'm saying is,
I think you need both.
If
honestly.
they can't afford $5,000 or $10,000 metal detectors now, you're probably talking, $5,000 or $10,000 a classroom.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I think the federal government might be more likely to subsidize something like that, because it has nothing to do with guns. The metal detector brings the NRA to the table, talking about, well, now you're persecuting gun owners. That's a whole political thing. You got to circumvent these arguments that are going to happen, because, nothing is getting done. If this, every kid, we have the bulletproof backpacks. Remember, we've seen those pop up from time to time.
With Kevlar.
Mm-hmm. Not every kid can afford a bulletproof Kevlar backpack. Okay. So what? Oh, screw you, poor kids. You're shit out of luck. This is something that the school district can provide. I'm telling you, I think there's money for this. I think there's federal money for a company that wants to start to build these kinds of desks that can be easily moved together, and they fit together, and they create a barricade that you cannot open that door. For we need someone to design it, of course, because I don't know what it's going to look like. I just have the image in my head, but I think that's an idea. I don't know. And again, the idea is because we have to react to what is actually happening and not what we hope to stop from happening, because we've been for decades now trying to stop this from happening. And that's fallen on deaf ears on both sides of the aisle. Nobody seems to really want to do it. So it's happening. It's going to happen. So what can we do now in the moment? Like that commercial. What is that commercial trying to get across? That's happening? Yeah, we know. You don't have to remind us. We know that's happening. It's awful.
Well, the other thing is, if you look at the Oxford shooting, they did everything that they could short of stop sending the kid home that day. If you eliminate that from the equation, I think everything happened the way that it was supposed to happen, and they apprehended the shooter in a very short period of time, and lives were saved because of the drills that were done before and how the teachers and the staff and the kids in the classrooms reacted. The reality is, if you have a gun and you're intending to do harm, there's a certain amount of people that are just going to be exposed no matter what is there to protect people. Like you say, if you have a metal detector at the front door and some guy decides he's going to come in with a gun,
metal
there's 8
detectors
or
aren't gonna
9
work.
or 10 people or somebody in that general vicinity that unfortunately there's not going to be a way to protect them. And so that's why you go, ultimately, if we could figure out how to get rid of guns, we could stop this problem. But
That ain't gonna
short of
happen.
that,
Yes, the
I don't
metal
know there's
detectors
any
are
solution.
the metal det there is no solution to stop it from happening. We've been trying that, and it just gets bogged down with gun lobby and right versus left and Second Amendment. We're not gonna stop it from happening. Nobody in power seems to have any vested interest in crossing that Rubicon. It's going to happen. Metal detectors are designed to stop it from happening. But we're not gonna, because as I said, people are just gonna walk into a school and shoot the guy at the metal detector and walk right through. It's rare the way it went down on Tuesday in Oxford. It is rare that the kid was in class all day and had the gun in his backpack and then in the middle of the day decided to do it. These things happen most of the time when people just show up at the school and start shooting. That's
I think there needs to be a metal detector anywhere there's a certain amount of people gathering, period. Because if you take a look at like the Vegas shooter, he had access from a hotel room to a group of people.
That was my honeymoon suite, by the way.
That he could see.
Mm-hmm.
And if you allow somebody into an area where there's that amount of people and he's got a gun on him, there are a number of people that are going to be shot or injured before you're going to be able to take that guy out. I think there needs to be metal detectors at churches. I mean, that's another place where shootings occur.
The act of the Vegas shooter will never be stopped. That is the kind of thing that can just happen anytime one of them dudes wants to do it. But whatever, that's the world we live in. I'm more concerned about kids who are like chickens in a pen. That's what kids are, chickens in a pen when they're in school.
I don't know there's any solution, unfortunately.
The solution is that you can't have guns because we can't trust you with guns. But again, that's never going to happen.
The horse is out of the barn.
Right. That is never going to happen. All right. Unfortunate.
I don't know.
I'm uncomfortable with that ad. I don't like that ad at all.
Yeah, I don't like that ad either. Like, what if we just stop selling guns? Like, what if...
Good luck.
Well, but I'm just saying, like, what if you just said, okay, there's enough guns out there. Buy guns from the people that have guns if you want to have guns, but we're not going to make any more.
Oh, I wonder how the NRA would handle that one. Good idea. Can I have a hit of whatever you're smoking? Because let me tell you, the idea that keeps going around, and isn't it so weird? The idea that you start hearing now from serious people is the old Chris Rock joke. Fine, keep selling the guns, but tax the hell out of bullets. Make bullets insanely expensive so that you don't want to just waste bullets. I mean, that was a joke. That was a Chris Rock joke, and it's a legitimate option now in 2021. I mean, think about that. Think about if one bullet costed $100. Costed. Imagine that. Like if a bullet cost $100, that would be your workaround because you could still have your guns. You just can't be wasting bullets. Bullets become a commodity that's a little bit more important. That Vegas shooter would have been probably like, I don't know, $200,000 in bullets. That guy would have spent. Would he have been willing to do that then? I don't know.
Well, but I mean, if you make the bullets that expensive, you essentially are stopping guns. And so I don't know that anybody's going to go for that. Like, what if you just said, okay, there are enough guns in America right now. If you need your gun, go buy it from somebody that has one, but we're not going to manufacture any more.
Yeah, that's never it. Yeah, that's a pie in the sky. That'll never happen. Dude, we can't get metal detectors in schools because the NRA doesn't like what that suggests.
Well, we're not outlawing guns. We're just saying we don't need any more.
Yeah. Okay,
and all
so
you people that have stockpiled.
You're suggesting that we shut down the gun manufacturing industry. Again, that's, you know,
Wow.
that's never going to work.
I realize that's not going to happen, but it's like a Parkland dad was talking yesterday, and I heard him on one of the news channels. And since that Parkland shooting, there's been another 100 million guns that have been sold. And I'm trying to think to myself, we didn't need to sell 100 million, or maybe limit the amount of guns that are sold to the amount of people that are born. You know, it's like, okay, if there's 100,000 people born, then you're allowed to manufacture 100,000 guns because everybody's got the right to have a gun. But why we have 1 million people born and we've got 3 million guns manufactured?
Yeah.
Like, somewhere there's got to be a, like, okay, well, this is too many.
You're struggling to find some rational medium ground. And this is just an irrational argument at this point. There is no rational solution to this problem. Dead kids are something that we as a society are comfortable with. We clutch our pearls in the 24 to 48 hours after it happens, and then we just go back. It's not something that hangs over us. If it didn't happen after Sandy Hook, when somebody walked into a kindergarten class and slayed a bunch of 6-year-olds, it's never going to happen. So stopping these events from happening is not an option. They're going to happen. We need to now concentrate on lessening the effects of them when they do. I mean, that's how I look at it. And I don't have all the answers, but there's got to be a workaround to the political divide. And this is not an anti-gun conversation that we're having. This is an anti-dead kids conversation. Like I said, I don't even care about the Vegas shooter. I mean, I do, tragic, but that's not what I'm talking. I've got a kid that goes to school every day. You've got a kid that goes to school every day. I don't care if I decide to go to a concert and some guy, up in a tower starts picking us off. I mean, I care, but that's not my primary concern. My primary concern is my son walking into a school where some crazy person decides he wants to create some mayhem. So we're not going to stop the crazy person. We're not going to get him help. We're not going to limit his access to the ability to do this. So it's going to happen. So now we've got to work in the reality of the situation. How do we lessen the effects of his mayhem? And it's a sad place to be. That is a really sad place to be. But we've spent decades going round and round and nothing happening. So let's shift the playing field. Let's go to let's get some progress somewhere, because the bottom line isn't about taking people's guns away or limiting people's access to guns or challenging the Second Amendment. The idea is, how do we create less dead kids on gym floors? That's the bottom line.
I think the prosecutor in Michigan is attempting to send a message to parents that if you are going to own guns, you need to be responsible gun owners. Is that a step too far? I don't think so.
Well, everybody is a responsible gun owner until the moment they're not. That's the problem.
Well, but if you're not, then there's consequences.
The Las Vegas shooter was a responsible gun owner until that Sunday night. Everybody says they're a responsible gun owner. Do you know, there was a thing I saw months ago, and I don't have the number, so I don't want to misrepresent it. But everybody who has guns in homes are supposed to have a gun safe, right? There is something like 100 million guns in homes, and there's only something like 100,000 gun safes sold in America. And all of those people claim they're responsible gun owners. See what I mean? I mean, nobody has gun safes. Nobody. People keep their guns in the hall closet. They keep them in a drawer next to the bed. They don't keep them in a gun
under
safe.
the mattress.
Right. We are fooling ourselves. It's ridiculous. So that ship has sailed. That's going to happen. Let's concentrate on less dead kids on cafeteria floors. Let's concentrate on that. That needs to be the way we look at it. And one of the ways that some people are doing it, people monitoring, this is comes out of Austin, Texas.
And to Rick in the chat room, yes, Rick, on occasion I am an idiot.
There you go. Austin, Texas, police department. Man arrested for bringing gun to a local high school. He believed there was an active shooter situation. So here's what we got. We got a 20-year-old who wanted to be a hero. He thought there was an active shooter situation going on at the high school, so he grabbed his gun and he ran down because America. What could go wrong there, huh? Well, there could be an undercover policeman already there with his gun drawn, who the hero, who doesn't know anything about what's happening, ends up killing him. You know, we just had, there was a situation, this is a very true story. It happened in Harvey, Illinois. Just before I moved down here, there was a nightclub shooting in Harvey, Illinois. And Harvey is a rough neighborhood. It's one of the first suburbs on the south side and the scary part of the south side. So it's a rough neighborhood. There was a shooting inside the bar, and one of the doormen had tackled the shooter and had him pinned on the ground with his gun. He had a concealed carry license. So he had his gun. So the shooter was on the ground. The man who stopped the shooter was on top of the shooter, holding him down, waiting for police to come. Police showed up and killed the bouncer. Shot the bouncer who was holding down the actual shooter because the police didn't know what was going on. Now imagine a well-trained police officer in the mayhem of a shooting in a club has that sort of screw up, killing who was the hero on the scene. What do you think a 20-year-old kid showing up at a high school who thinks there's an active shooter situation might accidentally do?
I mean, all these, similar to Kyle Rittenhouse.
Stop being a hero. A 20-year-old man was arrested at Atkins High School after an Austin ISD police said he brought a gun to the school believing there was an active shooter due to an earlier threat. Atkins High School went into a lockdown on December 1st after a report that 3 students had a gun inside of a bathroom. Austin ISD police enacted a lockdown immediately after learning the report just before 10 a.m. The school reported students and staff remained safe, and the 3 students involved were identified and located. Austin ISD reported no shots were fired, and officers never found a gun. Police said they found 2 ammunition magazines on one of the students in question. After the scene was cleared, a young man approached an Austin ISD officer and stated that a nearby man had a gun in his pocket. The officer was able to find the suspect, 20-year-old Luis Guzman. The officer reported in an arrest affidavit that he could see the butt of the gun's magazine in the front right pocket. Guzman told officers not to worry because there was no round in the chamber and he was there to help. I mean, we got people going to start showing up at these mass shootings. People with hero complexes going to get involved. Situations that they are wholly untrained to be dropped in the middle of. What could go wrong there?
We just saw about 8 days of trial of Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
Vigilante.
Yeah. Jeez. Again, not a gun conversation. This is a dead kid conversation. I can't wait for my kid to get out of school. I really can't. And then he's going to go off to college. And then, it's not like we didn't have the Virginia Tech massacre. It's not like they're safe in college. These things happen in colleges too. Yikes. All right, let's see what else do we got trending here. Let's run through some things pretty quickly. Oh my God. Okay, this is a rough one. Are you following the Vanessa Bryant versus the LA County situation?
No.
So Vanessa Bryant, widow of Kobe Bryant, is suing LA County for an undisclosed amount of money. She's looking for damages. She's looking for, here's what she's suing for. You tell me what you think of this. So after Kobe's helicopter went down, killing Kobe and her daughter, talk about a tragic event for a mom, right? LA County firemen, rescue workers, and police officers pulled out their phones and started taking pictures of Kobe's charred body and the daughter's charred body, and then started sharing them among friends. One guy was at a police banquet and sent it at the banquet to like a bunch of people, just a picture that he took of Kobe's burned body, and all of these people were looking at it and passing it around. She's suing because of that. Thoughts?
I think she should.
I think she should as well. But, I don't know about getting money. I don't know that she should be awarded money per se. LA County, come on. If she's awarded the money, then put all that money back into schools or something. Vanessa Bryant doesn't need money. Vanessa Bryant is fine. Vanessa Bryant, you don't need to be sapping the budgets of LA County. What you need is for every single one of the people who did that to be fired and to never work again in that kind of situation. Imagine being in a situation where something tragic is happening. You're the first line, you're the first responders, and because it's a celebrity, you're going to take some really gross pictures and share it with your friends because, wow, isn't this cool? Look at how awesome my job is. Want to see Kobe Bryant's daughter burned to a crisp?
Well,
what kind of
I
son
think
of a bitch does that?
The mechanism is that she needs to sue them, and you can't sue them to say, okay, you have to fire them. You have to sue them for monetary damages. Money makes the world go round, and money will make people pay consequences. And I'm with you. I don't think she's and from what I can tell, I would bet that she would probably take that money and put it into her foundation or something like that.
Well, here's the interesting thing. I read 3 separate stories about this because she's trending today. So I clicked on 3 different stories and I read all. And the reason I read 3, usually I'll just read the big one. I read the New York Times one, and I noticed in the New York Times, it didn't say what she was seeking in damages monetarily. It said what she was seeking as far as other things. She wants people fired. She wants all that stuff. But there was no mention of money. So then I read another one, USA Today, no mention of money. Then I read the Reuters one, and no mention of money. I wonder if, that's by design. I wonder if she's
well, it could be. I know an attorney who's associated with the people that are representing the helicopter company that she's suing, and they offered a large monetary settlement, and she did not want it, and she wants it to go to trial.
Well, I think that's a different situation. The helicopter company, if there was something wrong with the helicopter, if the pilot flew.
Well, it was the fact that they flew when they weren't supposed to fly.
Yeah, that's different, and yeah, there should be money there. But
but it's not that she couldn't have met.
They're insured. LA County,
yeah. Well, they're and so is the helicopter company.
In LA County that aren't going to get it.
It's more that what I gathered from the attorney that's representing the helicopter company or his firm is that she is on a course to send a message in all litigation that she's involved in. And so, I think she should, It's unfortunate that Kobe's dead. It's unfortunate that the daughter's dead. It's unfortunate that 5 other people that we don't know the name, or I don't know the names of as I sit here, also died that day.
And friends, yeah,
right.
Other young people and youth coaches.
But how that was allowed to occur just should not have ever happened.
There was a ground warning for all helicopters in the area on that day, and they flew anyway.
So, yeah.
Also trending today, this is a big one. Crypto regs is trending. Now, you and I have talked about this before. Apparently, the leaders of most of the, what are they? crypto banks. I don't know. What is Dennis Rodman there? Who's, because I don't, it seems Elon Musk, Mark Cuban, don't all these people have crypto coins or whatever? So they're in front of Congress today, and they're arguing against Congress's plan or designs or idea to somehow institute some form of cryptocurrency regulations here in the United States. I don't know anything about cryptocurrency. I know it's a new thing. So maybe somebody ought to look at it independently and say, okay, explain this. Look, if I can't comprehend, and I've tried, and I don't know how much you've tried just to have somebody explain to you what cryptocurrency is. I mean, I know it's a thing. But I don't exactly know how it works. I don't understand where the monetary value that backs this premise. It seems to all be based on a premise and not actual, but Pugs, but we went off the gold standards. Our money's not based on it. Our money is based on real estate and holdings and all of that. The American dollar is based on the cumulative worth of the United States of America. We got bombers. We got all kinds of shit. That's okay. So it doesn't need to be going. So I get that. But what is crypto? I don't know. What regulate what? How? What? I have no idea. And I wonder if I should buy my kid. Like, remember how kids used to get like I remember a friend of mine would get every year, he'd get a piece of stock from his grandpa. His grandpa would get him toys too, but he'd get him like, now you own one piece of Disney or whatever, Should get kids like crypto now? Just like, here you go, son. We're going to put this in the bank in 2012. I don't even know. I don't know what the hell. Go crypto. We got a few minutes left.
I don't know. I don't know much about it. To me, it seems if we were at the end of times or we were in a all-out Armageddon of war, it seems to me to be the least useful form of currency I can imagine.
I don't know. Is it currency? I don't even know what it is.
Well, I'm just saying, people talk about, oh, well, we had the gold. Okay, but if I have gold and my power's out, or there's, I just think back to the Roman Empire, like when we didn't have electricity, we didn't have these things, people would physically take the gold and go, okay, this is valuable.
This is it.
I'm going to trade you this for that. Would you walk up to them with your cell phone and the cell towers aren't working anymore and go, okay, inside my phone, I've got this value?
I don't know.
I mean, it's the same fear that I have, like having money in the bank. I mean, money in the bank, if the banking system is knocked out,
means nothing.
Means nothing.
It's all just a promise. It's
a credit card, like right. a plastic credit card that you have, or a debit card that you have that says, okay, your money is in this institution. I mean, if we're in an all-out Armageddon of war, I mean, what does that mean?
I guess it's just stealing shit. I guess it's just take what you're right. I mean, I don't know.
Well, then people are always like, oh, well, and I think we had a comment in the chat room thread the other day when we're talking about the retribution for China, or America against China. Well, we can't do anything to China because we owe them all this money.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into that.
Right, but I mean, okay, we owe you. Right there.
Thank you. Thank you. That is exactly, you always hear this thing, oh, we can't go up against China because they own all of this property in America. And what are they going to do? Foreclose in the middle of a war? Fuck you. Get out of here.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't
promise. These are people who are arguing. That argument is based on the current state of things, not taking into account that all of that goes away. That's a fantasy. All of that goes away when the bombs start dropping. They don't own dick in this country. We let them pretend they own dick in this country right now because we're on decent, calm, nice, peaceful terms. We go into an all-out war with China, and you think the fact that they own half of Montana is going to bankrupt us? Fuck you. We're going to say nope. That is an unreal way of looking at it. Those are people who are so frightened by the prospect of what war really is that they refuse to acknowledge that all of this shit that we exist in right now is just a premise. That's all this is. We're all agreeing to this
comical.
Premise. Yes, it
to
is.
think that if we're at war with China, we're still going to send our money over to them.
Exactly.
I mean, that's not going to happen.
Oh, fine. You're going to war with us? Well, here's the bill. Oh, fuck you. It's like, really? And we're not going to go to war with them alone. Well, then the rest of the world would say you can't. No, if it gets to that point, we got the rest of the world, or at least our allies are going to be with us, and we'll do business with them, and that's fine. But honestly, isn't that a maddening argument? And you hear it all the time. These people are not living. These people do not understand what an all-out world war would be. Do you know how much Germany owned in America? Well, not much, actually. But it was, there was some argument that somebody made about this the other day in the chat room, and it concerned Germany. Yeah, no, Germany was not it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. These are all promises. The idea that China owns us is a promise. That all goes away if we end up in a war with them.
I would think, and there are people that are a lot smarter than me, so I'm not going to sit here and proclaim that I'm right. It just seems to me that if we were at war with China, whatever money we owed them would stop being paid to them.
Yeah.
And if they then were charging us interest or late fees because we weren't paying them during war times,
we're gonna make payments during war.
We would be like, well, okay,
you had it right. It's this. It's nope. We ain't paying you anymore. As a matter of fact, if we win this war, guess what happens? We don't owe you dick, because now we just take everything. What do you think happens in a war? If we lose, yeah, we're in trouble. But if we lose a war with China, there's a whole lot of bigger things than, us owing them money. They now dominate us. We're planning on winning this war, so we don't owe them dick. We don't. It's such an unrealistic way of looking at it. It is completely based on the premise that nothing much changes.
Everybody's going to be honorable. That's what, I mean, God. At some point, imagine? I think when war is on, it's on,
The Chinese military bombs with nukes the west coast of America, and you think Washington is still going to be cutting them checks or pretending like all the land in this country they still own because it says so on a piece of paper?
They're going to take out their own buildings that they own. Literally, if they bombed us, they would take out their own buildings that they own that we're paying them for.
Do you know how much real estate in Midtown Manhattan the Chinese own? Not if we go to war. Them's our buildings now. Them's not theirs.
Or they're their buildings that they destroyed that they're not going to get paid back for.
It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous, unrealistic way of looking at it. And it's entirely based on people's unwillingness to acknowledge that when war starts, all bets are off with all of this shit. And certainly if we went alone, like if it was just us against China, yeah, then there'd be a problem. But that's why we spend months and months leading up to any kind of conflict getting our allies in line so that they also acknowledge they ain't paying China either. That they aren't. London ain't paying, Canada ain't paying, Germany ain't paying, France ain't. You know what I mean? We're not going to do it alone. We're going to do it with a big section of the world who is going to stop believing in whatever deal we made with them that had them put all this money into our country. That money goes away if we go to war. No.
I don't know. It just seems
if we declared war on China, they'd foreclose on all our buildings. So stupid. So dumb. Come on.
Are people going to move out?
Right. What are they going to show up? Well, we're just going to let the Chinese military start evicting people out of Midtown Manhattan. If that happens, the war has gotten out of control and we've already lost.
Yeah, right. True.
All right, we'll see you tonight at 9 o'clock for Pillow Talk. Appreciate you, I almost called you sunglasses. There he goes. I'm going to stick around here for a couple of minutes. We'll go through the chat room. Today was fun. How are you liking the new system where I do 1 hour by myself and then we bring in E and he helps? I always like having him here. But I like the balance of both. Like I said, I like exercising that muscle where I have to sort of rant, and not really worry about including anybody else. But then I need a break, and it's good to have somebody to talk to. especially somebody I enjoy talking to. All right, quick break. I got to get up and go to the bathroom. You didn't need to know that, but I told you anyway. And we'll come back and we'll do the little behind the scenes where I go through the chat room and I address some of the things that you've said. Okay, thanks, folks.
For you, may peace be with you every day in every kind of way. May good things come into your life to have a blessed day. This can be the start of something new. Roses and lace, they are meant for you. This can be the start of something new. Roses and lace, they are meant for you.
All right. There we go. All right. Back in. Hi, everybody. Glad some of you stuck around. Let's go through the chat room. Let's see what you guys were talking about here throughout the show. Again, I appreciate you. I love that you chime in and you have things to say on the different things we talk about. I'm just not good enough. I'm not skilled enough, really, to be able to do what I'm doing, keep my head straight, and then y'all distract me is what I'm trying to say. So here, this is our moment to hang out together. Jeff says, Jeff, in reference to last night's pillow talk, he says he slept through it. Yeah, well, you can always listen back to it. I thought it was a fun show. We talked about racist rock stars, and we delved deep into the relationship between Eric Clapton and George Harrison. And that spun into something. You're just going to have to hear that to believe it. And then we got into Bowie and about Bowie's dalliance with fascism and all of that back in and then for some reason I found myself defending David Bowie's hotness, which was a very weird position for me to be in, but okay. I spent a good 5 minutes last night proclaiming the sexiness of David Bowie, which you got to just hear it in context. It's not exactly the way I presented it, I suppose. Leslie says it was James being an insensitive turd. That's a big part of it. Jeff says, I won't get on a plane that isn't large enough to send a cart with booze on it down the aisle. Yeah, that's in response to me saying I don't like planes. I don't like planes, man. So on this day in 1972, the first plane crash that I was made aware of, I was just a little kid, and I remember it because it was in my neighborhood, just all the adults talking about it. I remember, I didn't know what it was, but I remember it being a thing. Let's see here. Leslie helping out. Luke Brewer helping out with the damage plan. I was trying to think of the name of the band that Dimebag had formed after leaving Pantera, after Pantera dissolved. It was on this day in 2004 in Columbus, Ohio, that Dimebag Darrell was murdered by a lunatic whose name we don't even need to talk about. Ross Rubio was talking about the Thin when I said that I met Dimebag Darrell for the first time at the Thin Lizzy show in Deep Ellum, and he was so kind. Just really, really nice, a nice, cool guy. Like I said, I had known Vinny Paul, his brother. I'd known Vinny for a while because Vinny was really into comedy and would always go to the comedy clubs. But Darrell wasn't around. Dime wasn't around like that. So I got an opportunity to meet Dime at the Thin Lizzy show in Deep Ellum, and he was just really, even though one of his was a total douche-tard, Dime sort of swatted him away and was like really cool. Ross, you were involved in that? Ross says that Thin Lizzy was one of my greatest gig memories. All right, look at Ross. Ross is a local musician. Adam says, I can fully attest to my theory that anyone who hangs out at strip clubs are effing creeps, and I don't want to be associated with them. Yeah, I agree with that to a degree, but I have had some fun. Steve says, afternoon all. I think I already dressed you, Steve. Jeff says, I've instructed all my bodyguards to treat you with respect. Thank you, Jeff. Should I ever, but this wasn't Dimebag's bodyguard. Dimebag didn't have bodyguards. You didn't need, well, I mean, I was like, yeah, you didn't need, nobody wanted to hurt Dimebag. And then here we are on the anniversary of somebody murdering him on stage. He certainly didn't need bodyguards in Dallas. He's kind of a large dude, and he moved through. And he looked very menacing. He looked every bit the rock star. Every time he was out in public, the hair and the cowboy hat and the leather jacket with the chain. I mean, he was just every bit the rock star. 100% day in, day out. He woke up a rock star. Well, let's see here. Radio douchebag wins over record company douchebag. I hope so. I hope so. That's from my boy Luke. Leslie, we already talked about that. Her working backstage. We'll share it again. Leslie's run-in with Dimebag Darrell. She had to work all day backstage at the Starplex. Starplex is the old concert venue here, kind of like if you're in Chicago, Alpine Valley, Poplar Creek, the World Music Theater, that kind of thing. I had to work all day backstage at the Starplex. And at the end of the day, Dimebag walked up and mentioned that he hadn't seen me eat or drink all day. He brought me a plate of barbecue and a Budweiser with a glass. He brought the glass because, as he says, ladies don't drink out of bottles. That's nice. On this day in history, the first COVID test, the first positive COVID case, I should say, was identified in China. And Jeff says 12 days later, first one here. First one here, what? Dallas or first one here in America? It doesn't matter now. We're done. Let's see. Okay, some comments on the moment of joy. The douchebag riding the three-wheeled motorcycle at the skate park who flips it over. Wonderful. Yeah, Mr. Dookie Pie, my boy Lyle. He likes Fatty Fall Down. That was very much Jonah Hill's sort of career path early on. He was all set to be Hollywood's new Fatty Fall Down. That was maybe a crude characterization of it, but Hollywood has always had, the funny fat guy who was the butt of the jokes, Fatty Fall Down. And you know what? Honestly, I don't think I've originated that. I think I want to say that is something that Chris Farley said years and years ago. And I want to say that he said it on the radio show I was working at. And I always thought, wow, that was a pretty good line. He said something to the effect of, well, I'm just Fatty Fall Down. Like he was sort of being self-effacing and he doesn't have much talent. She had a lot of talent. He was a very funny guy. But yeah, that when I refer to people as Fatty Fall Down in Hollywood terms, that's the way that I remember Chris Farley once on a radio interview on The Loop describing his act. I'm Fatty Fall Down. So not original, but I'm glad it entertained you there, Lyle. Jeff Glenn, we were talking about Jonah Hill referring to his co-star Meryl Streep as the GOAT over and over and over again. And Meryl Streep didn't know what GOAT meant. Meryl Streep thought that Jonah Hill was calling her a goat, which, not cool. Not cool. But it was then explained to Meryl Streep by Jennifer Lawrence, who's also in the movie, that when Jonah Hill calls you the GOAT, he's not calling you a goat. He's calling you the GOAT, as in greatest of all time. And Jeff Glenn suggests that Jonah should send her an apology card and a bale of hay. Isn't that cute? Pfizer just announced that booster is effective against Omicron. Okay, we got that. I was talking about Don't Look Up. The new man, look, there are a number of movies that I cannot wait for that are coming. Don't Look Up, Adam McKay's new film, the one we're talking about with Meryl Streep, Jonah Hill, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence, about an asteroid or comet that is going to hit Earth. Don't Look Up. That looks really good. Lyle, Mr. Dookie Pie, he says Being the Ricardos looks good as well. Yeah, that also looks good. That's Sorkin. That's Aaron Sorkin. So we've got Don't Look Up, Adam McKay. We've got Being the Ricardos, the story of Lucy and Ricky Ricardo, or, the making of the Lucy show. That's Aaron Sorkin. So we got McKay, we got Sorkin. And then, man, I am telling you guys, it was trending. Licorice Pizza. Licorice Pizza looks unbelievably cool. Licorice Pizza is the new movie that is coming out by Paul Thomas Anderson. And if you're a fan of, what did Paul Thomas Anderson? First of all, Hard Eight. If you've never seen Hard Eight was his first film, and it is awesome. It's about gamblers. When everybody says Rounders is the best gambler film, I'm like, yeah, it's because you didn't see Hard Eight, because nobody saw Hard Eight, because it was the movie that only certain people saw. And then they went, hey, this guy, Paul Thomas Anderson, he's pretty good. Hey, Paul, come on in for a meeting. We loved that little movie that bombed at the box office that you did. We thought it was great. We don't know why people didn't go out and see it, but we're going to give you another shot at a movie. Do you got any ideas? And he said, yeah, it's called Boogie Nights. Paul Thomas Anderson is like my favorite filmmaker. Boogie Nights, Magnolia, There Will Be Blood. Anyway, his new movie is Licorice Pizza. Oh, and Licorice Pizza, really interesting casting in this movie. It's set in the 1970s. It's about an actor. It incorporates, it's a huge ensemble cast, the way Paul Thomas Anderson is known for. I mean, just look at Magnolia. Magnolia is so good. I have to watch Magnolia like once every 18 months. Can't do it once a year because it's such heavy lifting, but man, is Magnolia a great film. But it's Licorice Pizza looks to be like that, where it's just this huge cast of people. And the leads are almost complete unknowns, except they're not really unknowns. He cast Alana Haim from the band Haim. I don't know if you're familiar with the girl group, the Sisters, a group of sisters, Haim. They just announced a new tour. Alana Haim, who is, I want to say, I think she's the youngest of the Haim sisters. She's in the lead role. And the lead male role in Licorice Pizza is a guy named Cooper Hoffman, who is the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman, who was a mainstay in Paul Thomas Anderson films. So that's kind of cool. Paul Thomas Anderson, who essentially made Philip Seymour Hoffman a star, is now in his new movie, giving the first big role of his career, to Philip Seymour Hoffman's 18-year-old son, Cooper Hoffman. So that's going to be, also it's got Bradley Cooper and Sean Penn. I mean, it's got other people too, but the two main roles are Elena Haim. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce her first name. But the girl from the Haim sisters, the Haim band. How old are you, Pugs? And Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. So Licorice Pizza. If you get it was trending today because there was a new, I think I actually talked about this months ago when the first trailer was released, but there's a new trailer that's out. So yeah, so there you go. Don't Look Up, Being the Ricardos, and Licorice Pizza. Woo. I have no interest, though, in seeing West Side Story. And everybody's like, that's going to win everything at the Oscars because Spielberg is a genius. I don't want to watch people sing. I don't. I'm sorry. Isn't it just Romeo and Juliet set in, New York City? I don't. But it's beautiful, Pugs. Romeo and Juliet is so beautiful. Okay. West Side Story. Spielberg's West Side Story is the culmination of years and years of his... Stop it. I don't care. I never even saw the original West Side Story. I don't... When you're a shark, you're a shark. When you're jet, you're a... That's all I know. I don't even know. I have a cocktail party popular culture knowledge of West Side Story, and I don't want to see it. Leslie McDonald. Leslie McDaniel. I'm sorry. She says she never saw La La Land. Well, guess what? I ended up seeing La La Land because I was with a girl who wanted to see La La Land, and I loved La La Land. I know. If they ever do one of those 3 facts and a lie about me, one of the 3 facts and a lie is going to be I loved La La Land. And people would be like, nah, there's no way. Everybody knows Pugs doesn't like musicals. How could he possibly? I loved La La Land. I liked it. I mean, I liked the girl I was with, and she was really into it. But, still, I guess the company, it's a good memory. I enjoyed La La Land. And then I told my mom, I said, Mom, you need to watch La La Land. I think you'll like it. It's really good. She's like, you suck. She's like, you did La La Land blew. What are you doing telling me to watch La La Land? My mom hated it. I was like, well, I liked it. Mr. Dookie Pie, Lyle says, do you think Howard Cosell was a Beatles fan? I'm guessing no, probably a Lawrence Welk fan instead. Yeah, well, certainly the Beatles were not of Howard Cosell's generation, but I think Howard Cosell was a fan of anybody who was a big celebrity who he could interview and he could further his own cause. He might have been see, you and I, we don't have the access. You and I have to just be either John Lennon or Beatle fans. Howard Cosell could probably have been an actual fan of the human being, because he met him. He doesn't have to just like him for the music. Rob Barr says, didn't I predict Howard Cosell's death date that year? I don't know what that's in reference to. And how would I know that, Rob? I don't. I love you. Rob and I go way back. Rob and I are friends from the early 90s. Amy Rock is taking exception with the way Howard Cosell in 1980 described John Lennon as probably the best known member. Yeah, I don't think he's wrong on that. I think John Lennon was the best known member of the Beatles. John Lennon was the guy that George Harrison had a great musical career, and he was a musician, and he did some things for Bangladesh, and he got some nice press that way. And Paul McCartney had wings. He was another rock star. Ringo did a couple of movies. John Lennon was on the front page every day. John Lennon was a political agitator. John Lennon, the United States government was trying to kick him out of the country. John Lennon actually lived in New York City, the epicenter of media in this country. John Lennon was absolutely, in 1980, it could be said, the best known member of the Beatles. So I didn't really have a problem with him saying that. Let's see here. More stuff. I personally love the annual war on Christmas paranoia, says Bill. We were talking about the Fox News Christmas tree catching on fire. Then I talked about how they screwed up I went for the Pfizer test and the Pfizer booster. I had signed up online and I checked all the boxes and did everything. And then at the end it said, you're ready for your Moderna. And I go, no, I'm Pfizer. So I don't know how that's going to affect me. Let's see here. Yeah, and then a lot of stuff we talked about with the shots here. Amy Rock replying to Gary Lewandowski. Some people don't. It just seems it's the most likely to cause ickiness. My family wasn't too bad, though, just tired. Oh, talking about the hangover from getting the vaccination. I know a lot of people didn't get sick at all. E, for instance. He didn't get sick at all from the vaccine. As a matter of fact, most of my friends didn't get sick at all from the vaccine. I am the only one who got sick. And when I say sick, look, I'm a hypochondriac. I'm a bit of I'm a guy. Oh, what is that? Oh no. Oh, got a call in sick today. So, and it wasn't like, as a matter of fact, I was sick. I was fluish and all that. But I still went to work every day. It was never enough to call in sick. I just felt run down. I felt tired. I didn't have energy. I felt there was definitely something different going on. But it was only a day. It was like the next day. The real problem was the arm. Boy, oh boy, my arm was dead for like a week. I couldn't raise. I mean, dead. I'm being fantastic about it. No, I had all the mobility of my arm. What I'm saying is that after the booster shot, when I went like this, it like hurt a little bit. It was a little sore. That's all. But I was fine. If I was an NBA player, I'd still be able to play. It would just, hurt a little. Like I said, I'm a bit of a pussy when it comes to that stuff. I'm a bit of a mama's boy. Okay, talking about my cereal restaurant idea, Jeff Glenn says that I wanted wall-to-wall shag carpeting because I wanted to encourage kids to sit on the floor and eat their cereal. But then it was pointed out to me by E, that's a dangerous idea because milk is going to spill on the floor and it's going to be in the car. It's going to smell. It's going to spoil. It's going to be bad. And our vacuum and carpet cleaning budget is going to be out of control. And no, we can't have that. So yeah. So Jeff says rugs are a better idea. But think of bars with carpets smell like booze, puke, and smoke. Yeah, I guess. Rick Bradley says, I thought a vaccine was a cure. How come they want so many booster shots? No, you thought wrong. Vaccine isn't a cure. That's not a cure. The vaccine is just something that lessens its effect on your body. It's like a defense system. It's not gonna, it doesn't cure. There is no cure for COVID. All we can do is lessen the way it impacts the body, and that's what the vaccine does. It lessens the way the body is impacted. But I think that's a big problem. I think that people don't understand what a vaccine is. It's not supposed, a cure is something altogether different. There is no cure. It would be great if they came up with a cure for COVID so that when people got sick with COVID, then they could just take the shot and okay, all better now. But that's not what a vaccine is. A vaccine is something that you add to your system as a defense against something that you could inevitably get, so that when you do get it, it's not as powerful against your body because now you have this vaccine. Like I say, I always describe it's like a seatbelt in a car. A seatbelt isn't a cure against getting into a car accident. A seatbelt is a defense against the damages you will incur during that car accident. So, yeah, that's what it is. That was Rick. Then there's a lot of talk about unions. Adam says teachers' unions in Texas are strong. Well, really? Because Texas, okay, I don't want to go into that. Okay, and then a lot of talk about my brilliant $1 billion idea to make desks that can be turned into Viking shield walls. Imagine that. Imagine those are my ideas. I used to have silly, fun ideas. Now what? Now my ideas are designed to make sure that my kid doesn't get killed in math class. Rick also points out he is an idiot. Yeah, well, so am I. And I think the most important thing about that is that we can't admit it from time to time. Can you people? Can you guys admit when you're idiots? Because no one is infallible. Adam says, I just heard a podcast about how the royal family in England has all their wealth virtually. All of their money comes from lands that were seized over 700 years ago. Yeah. It's all just a promise, man. We're all just pretending. We have all created this construct in the world, and we're all just pretending that these things are real. They're not. Boy, I'll tell you. Ask the people. Ask the people who were wealthy and comfortable and living in, I don't know, Amsterdam. What life was like after the Nazis decided to just say, fuck it, none of these rules apply anymore. War is, we don't know what war is. We have never truly experienced war. And I think that that's about the argument that a lot of people offer whenever we say, if we go to war with China, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be bad. And then somebody will say, it'll never happen because a war with China would instantly, completely table our economy. Yeah, what do you think fucking happens with war? What do you think? You think that we go to war? Yeah, we know that. We know, but this idea that they will defeat us in a hot war because they own all of it and we owe them all of this money, that is preposterous. That is so silly. That is just not living in the real world. All of our debts go away with China if we decide that we're going to take them over. I mean, what do you think happens in a war? God, I hate that argument, and I hear it all the time. And you'll always see an economist on the news who doesn't live in the real world, who actually thinks that this construct means something. No, doesn't mean anything. Drop a nuclear bomb on Beijing, and guess what? We don't owe them anything anymore. You think we're going to do that and then be like, oh, here's your monthly payment? All bets are off in a war. As a matter of now, their interests in us, them owning all that they do own in this country, is certainly a reason for them not to want to go to war. They forfeit all that shit. All that shit, again, the construct gets crumbled the minute we go to war. Those sorts of situations, the reasons that we have those sorts of situations are it's a deterrence. They are a deterrence for war. But if we literally go to war with them, that's not a problem. As a matter of fact, If we ever fear, that would be a reason we would go to war with them. If we felt that they had too much here in this country or owned too much of our debt or whatever, we would go to war with them. And then we'd beat them in the war, and then we would take all of their money and we would take it. And now we'd have all kinds of money to pay off whatever debts we owe to the people we didn't go to war with. No, they would, the minute we declared war on them, they would foreclose on half of Midtown Manhattan. And as E said, really? And this will be the response to the people in those buildings in Midtown Manhattan when the Chinese over there, who we are now at war with, say, you need to vacate the premises. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. Sorry. Our building, possession 9/10 of the law. Let's circle back on this issue after the war. Let's see who's left standing, and then we'll circle back. Yeah, I think that's about it. I don't think we need to get into anything more here. All right, that's good. Did an extra half hour. All right, folks, I hope you come back and I hope you join us for the Pillow Talk edition. Again, maybe we'll have a full show. And if you didn't hear last night, you can go back to YouTube at Pugs Cast and you can check out last night's Pillow Talk edition. It was wild. We're going to get into the racist rockstar thing that we never quite got into last night because we got derailed. We got derailed by an argument between E, a.k.a. Sunglasses, and James Parker. And like I said, I was just happy to not be the center of the argument. I just sat back and I watched it. So enjoy that. Hope you enjoyed today's show, and I appreciate you being here. I do. Every day I say it. I thank you so much. This is my favorite part of the day, and I wouldn't do it if I didn't have at least a handful of y'all in the chat room rooting me on and calling me dummy and saying I'm an idiot. You guys are the best. We all have different ideas of how this world works. This is a place where we come together every day and kind of share them. Thank you, folks. We'll see you again tonight at 9 o'clock. 9 p.m. Central Time for the Pillow Talk edition. Bye-bye now.